another death, and now I'm real mad. Put on my shoes, grab me the bat, now I'm going back. Walk to the store, nobody black, you gon' get a... Bumping this Tiana Taylor, thinking about Breonna Taylor. How can my genetic makeup make it so I never wake up? Make it so I meet my maker. God,
I just wanna
throw a Molotov at a cop, whether he crooked or not, until I'm killing the stops. Ripley, believe it or not, my people targeted pop. We about to listen to pop. Give me all the food unless we breaking in the door. I'm about to take what you got, cause we don't ask for a lot. And Reagan gave us garages when he gave us the rock. Maybe thinking this way could open doors if Karen actually cared a little more.
I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I'm a young black man, doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to mankind, every day I'm being hung to disgrace. My people don't want no trouble. We've got enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I sat down to have a conversation with my inner child today. Told her it's gonna be some things. Told her to protect her peace. Cause I know that she might wanna break. She might have to scream, yell at me even when they all go. They gon' tell you shut up, angry black girl. You live in a man's world, broken rib, holding up the arms of revolution. Don't feed into their statistic, it's bullshit. The game's rigged, the same playlist of lies they design the places. CIS up in this, but that's a fake win. If all black lives don't make it across the finish, I just want to live to. That means as much to you. 30% divided is 40 million united guys.
God protect me. My brown side. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I look to you when I ain't got nothing left but doubt. I long for protection. How many battles must we lose for the war we've already won? Oh, Lord, I'm asking you for more. Afraid of not waiting for the rain to stop. I just wanna live.
Yeah, I thought about hitting the Gucci store when the looting happened. God love us. Tell me what the... Yeah, I thought about hitting the Louis store, but Virgil is my black brother. Tell me what the... God love us. Tell me what the devil wears, Gucci or Prada, because I'm looking and I see it there. Breaking the glass, rob me the mannequin, put it in my bag, walk out the door with 20,000 worth of price tags. Walk in the house with what I grabbed and I'm still sad. Put on the news, another death, and now I'm real mad. Put on my shoes, grab me the bat, now I'm going back. Walk to the store, nobody black, you gon' get a... Bumping this Tiana Taylor, thinking about Breonna Taylor. How can my genetic makeup make it so I never wake up? Make it so I meet my maker. God,
I just wanna
throw a Molotov at a cop, whether he crooked or not, until I'm killing the stops. Ripley, believe it or not, my people targeted pop. We about to listen to pop. Give me all the food unless we breaking in the door. I'm about to take what you got, cause we don't ask for a lot. And Reagan gave us garages when he gave us the rock. Maybe thinking this way could open doors if caring actually cared a little more.
I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I'm a young black man, doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to mankind, every day I'm being hung to this grave. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I sat down to have a conversation with my inner child today. Told her it's gonna be some things. Told her to protect her peace. Cause I know that she might wanna break. She might have to scream, be yelling even when they all go. They gon' tell you shut up, angry black girl. You live in a man's world, broken rib, holding up the arms of revolution. Don't feed into their statistic, it's bullshit. The game's rigged, the same playlist of lies they design to places. CIS up in this, but that's a fake win. If all black lives don't make it across the finish, I just want to live to to you.
30% divided is 40 million united.
God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me.
To you when I ain't got nothing left but doubt. I long for protection. How many battles must we lose for the war we've already won? Oh, Lord, I'm asking you for more. Afraid of God, waiting for the rain to stop. I just wanna live.
Yeah, I thought about hitting the Gucci store when the looting happened. God love us. Tell me what the... Yeah, I thought about hitting the Louis store, but Virgil is my black brother. Tell me what the God love us. Tell me what the devil wears, Gucci or Prada, because I'm looking and I see it there. Breaking the glass, rob me the mannequin, put it in my bag, walk out the door with 20,000 worth of price tags. Walk in the house with what I grabbed and I'm still sad. Put on the news, another death and now I'm real mad. Put on my shoes, grab me the bat, now I'm going back. Walk to the store, nobody black, you gon' get a... Bumping this Tiana Taylor, thinking about Breonna Taylor. How can my genetic makeup make it so I never wake up? Make it so I meet my maker. God,
I just wanna
throw a Molotov at a cop, whether he crooked or not. Until I'm killing the stops, Ripley, believe it or not. My people targeted pop, we about to listen to pop. Give me all the food unless we breaking in the door. I'm about to take what you got, cause we don't ask for a lot. And Reagan gave us garages when he gave us the rock. Maybe thinking this way could open doors if Karen actually cared a little more.
I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live.
30%
I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind, every day I'm being hung to disgrace. My people don't want no trouble. We've got enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I sat down to have a conversation with my inner child today. Told her it's gonna be some things. Told her to protect her peace. Cause I know that she might wanna break. She might have to scream, yell at me even when they all gone. They gon' tell you shut up, angry black girl. You live in a man's world, broken rib, holding up the arms of revolution. Don't feed into they statistic, it's bullshit. The game's rigged, the same playlist of lies they design the places. CIS up in this, but that's a fake win. If all black lives don't make it across the finish, I just want to live to. To you.
13% divided is 40 million.
God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me.
When I ain't got nothing left but doubt, I long for protection. How many battles must we lose for the war we've already won? Oh, Lord, I'm asking you for more. Afraid I'm not waiting for the rain to stop. I just wanna live.
Yeah, I thought about hitting the Gucci store when the looting happened. God love us. Tell me what the... Yeah, I thought about hitting the Louis store, but Virgil is my black brother. Tell me what the God love us. Tell me what the devil wears, Gucci or Prada, because I'm looking and I see it there. Breaking the glass, rob me the mannequin, put it in my bag, walk out the door with 20,000 worth of price tags. Walk in the house with what I grabbed and I'm still sad. Put on the news, another death and now I'm real mad. Put on my shoes, grab me the bat, now I'm going back. Walk to the store, nobody black, you gon' get a... Bumping this Tiana Taylor, thinking about Breonna Taylor. How can my genetic makeup make it so I never wake up? Make it so I meet my maker. God,
I just wanna
throw a Molotov at a cop, whether he crooked or not, until I'm killing the stops. Ripley, believe it or not, my people targeted pop. We about to listen to pop. Give me all the food unless we breaking in the door. I'm about to take what you got, cause we don't ask for a lot. And Reagan gave us garages when he gave us the rock. Maybe thinking this way could open doors if Karen actually cared a little more.
I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind, every day I'm being hung to disgrace. My people don't want no trouble. We've got enough struggle. I just wanna live. God me.
I sat down to have a conversation with my inner child today. Told her it's gonna be some things. Told her to protect her peace. Cause I know that she might wanna break. She might have to scream, be yelling even when they all gone. They gon' tell you shut up, angry black girl. You live in a man's world, broken rib, holding up the arms of revolution. Don't feed into their statistic, it's bullshit. The game's rigged, the same playlist of lies they design to places. CIS up in this, but that's a fake win. If all black lives don't make it across the finish, I just want to live to. All that means as much to you.
13% divided is 40 million united.
God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I look to you when I ain't got nothing left but doubt. I long for protection. How many battles must we lose for the war we've already won? Oh, Lord, I'm asking you for more. Afraid of God, waiting for the rain to stop. I just wanna live.
Yeah, I thought about hitting the Gucci store when the looting happened. God love us. Tell me what the... Yeah, I thought about hitting the Louis store, but Virgil is my black brother. Tell me what the God love us. Tell me what the devil wears, Gucci or Prada, because I'm looking and I see it there. Breaking the glass, rob me the mannequin, put it in my bag, walk out the door with 20,000 worth of price tags. Walk in the house with what I grabbed and I'm still sad. Put on the news, another death and now I'm real mad. Put on my shoes, grab me the bat, now I'm going back. Walk to the store, nobody black, you gon' get a... Bumping this Tiana Taylor, thinking about Breonna Taylor. How can my genetic makeup make it so I never wake up? Make it so I meet my maker. God,
I just wanna
throw a Molotov at a cop, whether he crooked or not, until I'm killing the stops. Ripley, believe it or not, my people targeted pop. We about to listen to pop. Give me all the food unless we breaking in the door. I'm about to take what you got, cause we don't ask for a lot. And Reagan gave us garages when he gave us the rock. Maybe thinking this way could open doors if Karen actually cared a little more.
I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to mankind every day, I'm being hung to disgrace. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I sat down to have a conversation with my inner child today. Told her it's gonna be some things. Told her to protect her peace. Cause I know that she might wanna break. She might have to scream, be yelling even when they all gone. They gon' tell you shut up, angry black girl. You live in a man's world, broken rib, holding up the arms of revolution. Don't feed into their statistic, it's bullshit. The game's rigged, the same playlist of lies they design to places. CIS up in this, but that's a fake win. If all black lives don't make it across the finish. I just want to live to that means as much to you.
30% divided is 40 million united.
God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I look to you when I ain't got nothing left but doubt. I long for protection. How many battles must we lose for the war we've already won? Oh, Lord, I'm asking you for more armor. Afraid of not waiting for the rain to stop. I just wanna live.
Yeah, I thought about hitting the Gucci store when the looting happened. God love us. Tell me what the... Yeah, I thought about hitting the Louis store, but Virgil is my black brother. Tell me what the God love us. Tell me what the devil wears, Gucci or Prada, because I'm looking and I see it there. Breaking the glass, rob me the mannequin, put it in my bag, walk out the door with 20,000 worth of price tags. Walk in the house with what I grabbed and I'm still sad. Put on the news, another death and now I'm real mad. Put on my shoes, grab me the back, now I'm going back. Walk to the store, nobody black, you gon' get a... Bumping this Tiana Taylor, thinking about Breonna Taylor. How can my genetic makeup make it so I never wake up? Make it so I meet my makeup. God,
I just wanna
throw a Molotov at a cop, whether he crooked or not, until I'm killing the stops. Ripley, believe it or not, my people targeted pop. We about to listen to pop. Give me all the food unless we breaking in the door. I'm about to take what you got, cause we don't ask for a lot. And Reagan gave us garages when he gave us the rock. Maybe thinking this way could open doors if Karen actually cared a little more.
I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind, every day I'm being hung to disgrace. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I sat down to have a conversation with my inner child today. Told her it's gonna be some things. Told her to protect her peace. Cause I know that she might wanna break. She might have to scream me, yell at me, but when they all go, they gon' tell you shut up, angry black girl. You live in a man's world, broken rib, holding up the arms of revolution. Don't feed into their statistic, it's bullshit. The game's rigged, the same playlist of lies they design the places. CIS up in this, but that's a fake win. If all black lives don't make it across the finish, I just want to live to to you.
30% divided is 40 million united.
God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I look to you when I nothing left but doubt. I long for protection. How many battles must we lose for the war we've already won? Oh, Lord, I'm asking you for more. Afraid of not waiting for the rain to stop. I just wanna live.
Yeah, I thought about hitting the Gucci store when the looting happened. God love us. Tell me what the... Yeah, I thought about hitting the Louis store, but Virgil is my black brother. Tell me what the God love us. Tell me what the devil wears, Gucci or Prada, because I'm looking and I see it there. Breaking the glass, rob me the mannequin, put it in my bag, walk out the door with 20,000 worth of price tags. Walk in the house with what I grabbed and I'm still sad. Put on the news, another death and now I'm real mad. Put on my shoes, grab me the back, now I'm going back. Walk to the store, nobody black, you gon' get a... Bumping this Tiana Taylor, thinking about Breonna Taylor. How can my genetic makeup make it so I never wake up? Make it so I meet my makeup. God,
I just wanna
throw a Molotov at a cop, whether he crooked or not, until I'm killing the stops. Ripley, believe it or not, my people targeted pop. We about to listen to pop. Give me all the food unless we breaking in the door. I'm about to take what you got, cause we don't ask for a lot. And Reagan gave us garages when he gave us the rock. Maybe thinking this way could open doors if Karen actually cared a little more.
I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I'm a young black man, doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to mankind, every day I'm being hung to disgrace. My people don't want no trouble. We've got enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I sat down to have a conversation with my inner child today. Told her it's gonna be some things. Told her to protect her peace. Cause I know that she might wanna break. She might have to scream, be yelling even when they all go. They gon' tell you shut up, angry black girl. You live in a man's world, broken rib, holding up the arms of revolution. Don't feed into their statistic, it's bullshit. The game's rigged, the same playlist of lies they design to place it. CIS up in this, but that's a fake win. If all black lives don't make it across the finish, I just want to live to. That means as much to you.
30% divided is 40 million united.
God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I look to you when I ain't got nothing left but doubt. I long for protection. How many battles must we lose for the war we've already won? Oh, Lord, I'm asking you for more. Afraid of not waiting for the rain to stop. I just wanna live.
Yeah, I thought about hitting the Gucci store when the looting happened. God love us. Tell me what the... Yeah, I thought about hitting the Louis store, but Virgil is my black brother. Tell me what the God love us. Tell me what the devil wears, Gucci or Prada, because I'm looking and I see it there. Breaking the glass, rob me the mannequin, put it in my bag, walk out the door with 20,000 worth of price tags. Walk in the house with what I grabbed and I'm still sad. Put on the news, another death and now I'm real mad. Put on my shoes, grab me the bat, now I'm going back. Walk to the store, nobody black, you gon' get a... Bumping this Tiana Taylor, thinking about Breonna Taylor. How can my genetic makeup make it so I never wake up? Make it so I meet my maker. God,
I just wanna
throw a Molotov at a cop, whether he crooked or not, until I'm killing the stops. Ripley, believe it or not, my people targeted pop. We about to listen to pop. Give me all the food unless we breaking in the door. I'm about to take what you got, cause we don't ask for a lot. And Reagan gave us garages when he gave us the rock. Maybe thinking this way could open doors if Karen actually cared a little more.
I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I'm a young black man, doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind, every day I'm being hung to disgrace. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I sat down to have a conversation with my inner child today. Told her it's gonna be some things. Told her to protect her peace. Cause I know that she might wanna break. She might have to scream me, yell at me, but when they all go, they gon' tell you, shut up, angry black girl. You live in a man's world, broken rib, holding up the arms of revolution. Don't feed into they statistic, it's bullshit. The game's rigged, the same playlist of lies they design the places. CIS up in this, but that's a fake win. If all black lives don't make it across the finish, I just want to live to you.
13% divided is 40 million united.
God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I ain't got nothing left but doubt. I long for protection. How many battles must we lose for the war we've already won? Oh, Lord, I'm asking you for more. Afraid of God, waiting for the rain to stop. I just wanna live.
Yeah, I thought about hitting the Gucci store when the looting happened. God love us. Tell me what the... Yeah, I thought about hitting the Louis store, but Virgil is my black brother. Tell me what the God love us. Tell me what the devil wears, Gucci or Prada, because I'm looking and I see it there. Breaking the glass, rob me the mannequin, put it in my bag, walk out the door with 20,000 worth of price tags. Walk in the house with what I grabbed and I'm still sad. Put on the news, another death and now I'm real mad. Put on my shoes, grab me the bat, now I'm going back. Walk to the store, nobody black, you gon' get a... Bumping this Tiana Taylor, thinking about Breonna Taylor. How can my genetic makeup make it so I never wake up? Make it so I meet my maker. God,
I just wanna
Throw a Molotov at a cop, whether he crooked or not. Until I'm killing the stops, Ripley, believe it or not. My people targeted pop, we bout to listen to pop. Give me all the food unless we breaking in the door. I'm about to take what you got, cause we don't ask for a lot. And Reagan gave us garages when he gave us the rock. Maybe thinking this way could open doors if Karen actually cared a little
I
more.
just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind, every day I'm being held to disgrace. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me.
I sat down to have a conversation with my inner child today. Told her it's gonna be some things. Told her to protect her peace. Cause I know that she might wanna break. She might have to scream, be yell at me, but when they all go, they gon' tell you shut up, angry black girl. You live in a man's world, broken rib, holding up the arms of revolution. Don't feed into they statistic, it's bullshit. The game's rigged, the same playlist of lies they design the places. CIS up in this, but that's a fake win. If all black lives don't make it across the finish.
We gonna vaccinate her?
It's time to press the reset button.
Get your knee off our neck.
We are the ones who make a brighter day. Ones who make a brighter day.
We must have proportionate political representation and community control of the police departments.
We must stand up and speak out about crime and injustice.
We must heal from this collective trauma.
We must love, support, and respect one another.
Silence is violence. What is it, you shall? Think about it.
Black Lives Matter.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gamble. I'm the Vice President and PR for the Michael Brown Foundation. Thank you for joining us for our first ever virtual experience, and today marks the 6th year. We're having our 6th annual Michael Brown Memorial Weekend, and today we commemorate the life of Michael Brown Jr. And so today we have a power-packed evening put together today. We have Black celebrities and chosen fathers from all across the nation. We thank you for joining us today, and make sure that you start by liking us on social media. Go to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and check out all of our social media on the side. And make sure that you remember that justice for Mike Brown means supporting the legacy that his father, Michael Brown Sr., is building through our foundation, Michael Brown Foundation, Chosen for Change. Visit our website at www.michaelbrownfoundation.org. And we want to thank all of our celebrity guests, influencers, and faith partners that have joined us for this evening, as well as our chosen fathers that have joined us this evening for this commemorative day and heavy day to celebrate the life of Mike Brown Jr. So I don't want to take any more time, and I want to jump right in by introducing our first panel. Tonight, we're going to talk about 4 topics. First is police brutality, and I want to introduce Mrs. Portia Williams, and she is an American television personality, co-host of Dish Nation. She's a mommy, wife, actress, and activist. So please welcome, coming to the stage, and many more, she's going to introduce for you, Mrs. Portia Williams.
It says proportion on. 1 second. Sorry, guys. Just have to move this square. I cannot see. Hi, everyone. Just 1 second. You know, we are humans and we have tech issues from time. And right now I have a complete box blocking. There it is. All right. Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this evening for this very, very important town hall. This is the Black Celebrities and Chosen Fathers virtual town hall hosted by the MikeBrown Foundation. And you all are taking part of it just by being here. And we appreciate you. And we hope you are blessed. We hope you receive information today that will help you move forward and be a part of the movement and a part of change that you can promote for yourself. I'll begin by introducing myself. I'm Portia Williams, and I'll be the moderator for tonight's event. My session will be about police brutality, a very important subject. One of the reasons why this subject is so important is because African Americans make up 13% of people in the United States as of 2020. White people make up 76%. So that's a 63% difference. And there's only 100% difference in the amount of people who were killed by police as of 2020. And that is why we're having this conversation today. But let me go ahead and introduce our speakers, and then I'll move on to the chosen fathers. First, we have rapper Chance the Rapper. Thank you so much for being here. Chance the Rapper is very much known as a philanthropist. He uses his voice, his platform, and has done that for many years. And he is here to speak with us today as well. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I am great. We also have Steven Jackson here, a former NBA player who is now an activist and has been leading a lot of different movements in his area. He is the brother and friend to George Floyd. So welcome. Okay. All right. And we also have Omar Dorsey. Thank you so much for being here. Omar Dorsey is an actor. He's been in films such as Django. You may have seen him in many other films. He is here to lend us his voice today as well. We also have legendary comedian Michael Collier. Hello, I see you. And thank you so much for being here. Yes, you guys may know him.
Thank you for allowing me to be part of this.
Absolutely. It's our honor to have you here with us today. And we see you're on the move, so we are blessed to have you. Hello, Omar Dorsey. I see you just got here.
Hey, what's going on, Portia? How you doing?
Hello. And then we also have Minister Dominic Alexander. And let me get the name of his foundation correct. He has founded the New Generation Action Network. Thank you for being here. You can go ahead and turn your camera on so we can see you. But let's go ahead and move on to our chosen fathers. Today we have Michael Brown Sr., co-founder of the Michael Brown Foundation. Thank you for being here, and thank you for putting on this event. Guys, I really want to remind you all to make sure that you donate to the Michael Brown Foundation by texting Mike Brown 63975. Hello, I see you down there, Dominic. How are you?
How you doing? You doing all right?
Great. Great. Yes, I hear you just fine. We also have Uncle Bobby X. He is here today. He's the co-founder of Love Not Blood campaign, as well as Families United for Justice. Thank you for being here so much. Hello, how you doing?
I'm well.
Well, I would love to be able to start with our chosen fathers. I'll start with you, Uncle Bobby X, who is the uncle of Oscar Grant III. If you could just please share with us the story about your loved one who was killed in police brutality.
Yes, Oscar was murdered on January 1st, 2009 at the Fruitvale BART station. Many who have seen the movie Fruitvale Station actually seen the story of what happened to my nephew, Oscar Grant. The movie that portrayed our family and our struggle. Of course, he was murdered, laying in a prone position, face down, hands behind his back, crisscrossed to be handcuffed. Officer stands up, shoots him in the back, and then claimed he thought Oscar was reaching for a gun. And of course, from there, for the first time in California state history, an officer was arrested, charged, convicted, and sent to jail. All glory and praises go to the community for embracing us as a family, standing with us, crying with us, being with us, and most importantly, saying that I am Oscar Grant. And it was because of that cry that the community cried and participated in and getting the justice, we were able to get that officer arrested. Now, we don't call it a victory, but we do call it historical, because since Oscar's murder, over 1,300 in the state of California has been murdered here in the state.
I don't have sound anymore.
Over 13,000 has been murdered across this country. But yes, Oscar, my nephew, my baby sister's son, my very first nephew, as you know, the movie Fruitvale Station, Brian Kruger produced. Michael B. Jordan played Oscar, Melody Diaz, his fiancée in the movie. So I just wanted to share that. I don't know how much time I have to give any more details, but I think most importantly, it was Oscar that became the flashpoint of the movement that we see happening today. Elisa Garza and Patrice Colliers was a part of the Oscar Grant movement for justice. Elisa lived 3 blocks from Fruitvale Station where Oscar was murdered at, so she was really impacted by the pain of that murder. And prior to Trayvon being murdered, over 3,000 more folks had been killed by the police. Inflicted that much more pain that we had to do something about creating a movement that was really birthed out of the murder of Oscar Grant. Today we know that Black Lives Matter. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. And yes, we do remember, and yes, we do say his name. We'll keep him in remembrance as well. I see now we have Michael Brown Sr. has joined us. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being the founder of this foundation who has put this event on for us tonight. Can you speak to us a little bit about your son, Michael Brown? Are we frozen? Uh-oh.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Hear me?
Can you hear me,
yeah, we have froze for a
Mr.
second.
Brown?
I couldn't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
It's kind of low. The audio is kind of low.
Oh, okay. Okay. Maybe if I speak a little
I
louder.
can't hear anybody. I can hear you. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
Hello, anybody?
I can hear you, Michael. Can you hear me?
The audio is low. I can barely hear what they're saying.
Oh no.
I can't hear.
Maybe
anything.
if you have an earpiece that you
I'm
can
trying
put
to fix
in.
this audio.
All right.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, we can. Yes, I can hear you just fine.
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me, sir?
But I can't hear her. I can't hear you though.
Good.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear anybody except one fella.
Reload on your bottom left. That circular recycle emoji. Press that. It's at the bottom
Y'all must
left.
be going through T-Mobile.
The circle.
That helps. You gotta laugh, right?
It's because It's because of Michael's top. He looks like he's from Augusta. That's why we having side
Look at Mr. Brown.
I'm just gonna jump on Patrick real quick. Patrick's here at the house. I'm just gonna jump on here so I can hear what you say.
Okay, all right.
He came for me doing testing. I gotta go for him. I gotta get for him. Yeah, I got that lighting better now.
Well, I want to wait on Mr. Brown if that's
My civil
what
rights
you guys
guy is
think we should
causing
do.
technical difficulties.
Okay. I'm on Patrick.
Okay, there we go. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so you hear me just fine? Okay, good. I was just welcoming you into the conversation and thanking you for founding this foundation and the reason why we're here. We just want you to take a moment and speak to us about Michael Brown Jr.
Michael Brown was average 18-year-old trying to find himself. Like girls, like driving, just an average kid, you know. Sadly, his life was taken August 9, 2014 by Walking Black with a friend. The world went up in the uproar, you know, for the loss of him. And I really appreciate everybody that stood up for what they believe in. And the fight continues, you know, even though the prosecutor didn't think to prosecute the murderer that killed Michael Brown. I'm still going to stand out here and fight for other families and try to help them get justice.
So actually, that was one of the first things I wanted to talk about, the fact that attorney Wesley Bell was doing a secret 5-month investigation. And then at the end of it, he decided not to press any charges. How do you feel about that?
Definitely, I'm upset about it, you know. But I didn't want to react in a certain way, like I didn't have no respect for my son or for the movement that we have going on. So I took it across the chin. We still have different avenues that we can go through. We got Corey Bush in office now. We got different people that sit in office that we can still get this going, make it an ongoing case.
Yeah, exactly. It's just time to apply more pressure. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And, you know, here's the reason why we're talking about police brutality. These policemen have, you know, immunity around them. They have the system is set up to protect them in a certain way. And they have, they're funded to be able to be militarized and et cetera. I want to know how you all feel about defunding the police. It's definitely been talked about. There have been different protests where different people are shouting it. There are different people who have different meanings for defunding the police. So I would like to know what you think about defunding the police. Chance the Rapper, let me know where you stand on that.
First of all, I just want to say it's an honor to be on this call with all these gentlemen, and it's great to meet you. I feel like it makes total sense to defund the police. The simple fact that they have way too much money, and a lot of cities, a lot of major cities like Chicago, is a larger percentage of our city budget than planning, education, mental health services overall combined. They're dwarfed by the city budget for policing because they want the police to be militarized. It's not even necessarily that they're all getting paid. It's just that we spend a ton of money on the militarization of the police and on being honest, having to settle in court for police misconduct. And so, there was this huge movement this year to, in the wake of the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so many others, to have a lot of school contracts terminated because there's a lot of money that the police get outside of their regulated budget that they receive from contracts with public schools. So, for example, in Chicago, they were voting on whether or not to continue the contract with between Chicago Public Schools and Chicago Police Department, and it was a $30 million contract basically just to have police officers stationed at as many schools as possible. And when I say as many schools as possible, I mean as many schools in the Black neighborhood.
Right.
A lot of my white counterparts I was growing up with, they never had a police officer in their school.
They didn't have that presence, right?
But that in itself is police violence. Having to be, for the simple fact that there's been school shootings at schools that have police officers, just goes to show that it's not necessarily the safest practice to have them in the school with kids, and it just is kind of just bad for your mental state overall. But I digress. Basically, they voted to keep the contract. So Chicago public schools, our board that gets their money from the city, decided to allocate $30 million from their budget to the police for an ongoing contract to be in our schools. And then the mayor just decided 2 days ago that they're going to do remote learning. So the point of defunding the police is not just to make our police weaker. And that's like in itself is a stupid idea, but it's specifically that we don't spend the money that the cities and states have in places that they could be used, like education, like mental health services, like jobs programs. And so we want that money to, like a lot of crime is based off of not having your essential needs. And so people are growing up with PTSD and fucking bipolar disorder and schizophrenia and all these different things, and they don't have mental health services. Or if the school is the worst on the south and west sides of Chicago, which is the Black sides of Chicago, if the schools are worse there and the jobs are scarce and the health care is terrible and the mental health services don't even exist and the parks are shitty, and you know what I'm saying, and there's all these things
it just go on and on.
But you got money for policing, which is but I just started talking for a long ass time.
No, it's fine. I'm glad that you explained that, because a lot of people feel like defunding the police means we're trying to not pay the police to do their job. That's not the case. That we just want to reallocate that money to be used within our communities, which is very, very important. Michael Collier, did you want to get in on this topic?
Yeah, I think it's semantics. I think it's the words. I don't think we should be funding the police. We should snatch that money from their ass, that's for sure, and use it in other places. But I think by saying defunding it, it puts that connotation out there that we're trying to take from the police. And in a society where folks are always crying about law and order, then you automatically create a group of people who want to stand against that because you feel like you're taking from the police. The two things that have to happen for us to save our communities is, first, we have to re-educate the police who are allowed to stay there. And secondly, we really got to punish the ones who do wrong. I mean, a lot of stuff the police do is obviously some terrible shit. It's obvious. And you see it, and it's like, well, we got to, you don't see the whole picture, so we need a little more time to look at it. And then when they get through it all, they looking and analyzing, they always rationalize that the cop did the right thing, which is bullshit. So what we have to start doing is taking something from the police. Every time something go down and the police do something, we got to take some shit from their families. Dick Gregory said.
No, you're right.
Dick Gregory said a long time ago that when cops become cops, that they should have some type of college program for their children. Right. And as soon as a cop do something wrong, you snatch that college program from their kids. Cop is thinking, well, if I fuck up out there, my kid ain't gonna get his education, which sort of puts him on his P's and Q's. I'm not saying that's exactly the thing to really clear that we have police officers. That's the only way they're gonna stop all this bad behavior. If every time they fuck up, they get to go home, then they don't have any incentive not to fuck up. It just don't make sense.
Right.
I'm sorry.
That's true. And no, you're so right. And the thing is that our policemen, when they do something, there's no accountability there. There's no system. There's no place for us to be able to see what they have done from one place to another. So they go get another job. They still have their pension. They have qualified immunity. We as citizens can't sue their pension, so they still get all their money. Now, speaking of accountability, that's one of the things that, I have a big issue with, because when you tell people to go vote, you want them to be an educated voter. You want them to vote for someone who will make change specifically for what what will help us in our communities. And we have to hold these local, state officials and federal officials accountable. Omar Dorsey, can you talk to me about how we can help them or demand them to take responsibility in cases of police brutality?
Yeah, definitely. I actually have an initiative along with Anthony Mackie called I am a man. Vote. And we're trying our best to educate as many black men and women as we can with the politicians and the people who are actually running for office. So that's because I know a lot of that is not done. When I was younger, these were the people who used to come to church and talk, and we would be able to sit and talk to them and ask them what their agendas are. So what Anthony and I are trying to do is have these conversations with them online and see, exactly what is your agenda, because we can get so distracted now. Okay, this one politician might have a commercial, and you might think that might be what their agenda is. Until you hit them, you really sit them down and try to find the brass tacks of exactly what do you want to do for me and my people. That's all I really care about.
That's right.
Because nobody else cares about us.
So we got.
Yeah, so it's up to us to take care of ourselves. We have to we have to be the ones, especially everybody who's on this panel right now. I want to be a person who's going to give out the information to my people while I do have a larger platform right now. So yeah, that's exactly what we have to do. We have to talk to these politicians and people who are potentially running and see exactly what they have to offer to us.
Absolutely. Now, I want to speak to you, Stephen Jackson, about personal experience. I don't know if you yourself has experienced police brutality, but of course we all know about, God rest his soul, George Floyd, who died at the hands of police. Can you speak to us about how you're coping with that and how you immediately jumped into action to get justice for your family member? Oh, I don't think we have sound. Click your microphone, Stephen. Make sure we have sound. Or at the bottom on the left next to live, press the refresh button and refresh your page. Until he gets sound, we only have a little bit more time. Minister Dominic, can you tell me about any your personal experience with systematic racism or with police brutality? We as Black folks, in one way or another, we've all been touched by this type of, suffered by this type of oppression.
Can you hear me? Well?
Yes, I hear you just fine.
Hello, y'all. I'm Minister Dominic Alexander, President and founder of the Next Generation Action Network. I want to first off by saying thank you to MikeBrown Sr. and Cal and all of the team that Chosen to Change for what they do every year. I'm saddened by the fact that I got a great tradition and be here in Dallas. I normally come there every August night to stand with my brother and sister. So shout out to that. Also, I think that we have to come to a real critical part in America. I think sometimes we try to make words be acceptable to them. And at the end of the day, the oppression that they have put over us for 400 years have not been acceptable to us, right? So one of the things that MJN has done is that we have made sure that if you want to look at and focus and offer over defund, what we did was we said, okay, we're going to also talk about defunding, we're going to reimagine, reclaiming, and then we're going to actually reinvest, right? We're going to take these money away from you that you use to oppress our communities. You cannot police poverty, right? You cannot arrest your way out of prostitution. You cannot arrest your way out of gambling. You cannot arrest your way out of narcotics. We know what happened with the 1993 crime bill. We know what it did to Black communities, right? We know what it did. So what we need to do is we need to snatch that money and bring that back in our community. And then guess what? We want to have a conversation about whether Chicago has urban violence, whether Dallas has urban violence. Don't tell me about urban violence if Boo and all of them can have a rec center or a community school because Chicago is trying to balance a $1.3 billion budget paying police officers when they're closing 20 schools every year. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, no one want to have the conversation, but they want to point at it and say black on black crime and black on black this. give us our resources in our community, and guess what? You ain't got to come in there. We will protect our own community. We will educate our own babies. Just give us the resources, and guess what? We ain't asking for no handouts. We just asking for the same damn tax base
Exactly.
in our community. What they're asking for is that, right?
Exactly.
So you have to reinvest. So I tell people all the time, don't let them have you arguing on deep home. Damn that. Whatever, if you got a problem with that deep home, guess what? I got a problem with you being on my neck. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I think that even from 6 years later, not having justice for Mike Brown, and I think that if we didn't have an 8-minute video of George Floyd, what would we do for now? But still, we're still sitting behind me right here. I make sure I deliberately put it up, but we're still sitting in America where Breonna Taylor's killer is not arrested, right? And at the end of the day, we need justice. So
we do, because at some point it has to be us not just crying about it. You have to empower the people, and of course, the same way at the end of the day, because it's going to take money for that to happen. That needs to be put into the community, and we need to be taught economically how to take care of the money once we do get it. But Stephen Jackson, can you also talk to us about, your personal experience? In this society, we all leave the house. We don't know what could happen to any of our family members, and here you got a phone call that your friend, your brother, was actually killed by the police in that way. How did you cope with that, and how did you even begin or get to the point to seek justice? Because I would think you just be so taken by it happening and thinking that, oh my gosh, I have to fight for this, but it should just come naturally.
Brother Steven, you speaking?
We still don't have sound on Steven, tech team. Okay. Okay. All right.
Could I jump in while we wait?
Sure, absolutely.
I know you got 914 people on here, so everybody ain't gonna be able to talk. I just want to get mine in real quick. I think that one of the things that Omar hit on, which I think is really important, is that we remember that it's on us to take care of us. Because if something happened to Muffy or Amber, there's gonna be an alert. But if it happened to Shaquita and them, we on our own. So we really got to do it ourselves. I have a thing I've been trying to do in Chicago for like 3 years, where I'm putting together a music video that's a short film. But the money from that is to try to build a musical organization with
the signal went out.
Okay, I think he just froze.
Can y'all hear me?
Okay. Did he unfreeze?
Okay, there you go.
We get you,
just
sir.
Go back a little bit.
We get you, sir.
We got you back, Stephen.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes. Were you done, Michael?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
sir. Well, no, I can stop. I yield to the brother.
Okay. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Mike. First of all, I just want to tell everybody on here, my brothers and sisters, I love all y'all from the bottom of my soul. I think I give everything back to have my brother back. It was one of the worst situations in my life, but this is the situation we in. With me stepping up for my brother and putting everything I have on the line to get justice for him and justice for my people. I've inherited so many other mothers' pain who don't have a Stephen Jackson to speak up for them, who don't have a celebrity to speak up for their loss. So I've inherited so much pain from so many other people that I'm willing to put my life on the line for my people and for justice and for equality for my people. And I haven't had time to mourn. I really don't know how I feel because God put me in this position for a reason. So I've embraced it. I'm telling all y'all now, I'm fighting for us, for a better day, for all of us to get treated like human beings and not animals. And I think my brother's death is definitely not going in vain. His name is going to be the name of change. And if this is where my life came, I'd rather be noticed for fighting for my people than be noticed for basketball any day. And I just appreciate all y'all, and I appreciate being here.
Thank you. And we appreciate you too. And we have definitely seen all the work you've been doing and jumping into action. It's not easy for a lot of public figures. They don't want to have anything to say because they may lose this endorsement or this future deal or that future deal. But as I tell a lot of people, we are fighting life or death at this moment. There's 2 pandemics happening. And, we cannot just sit aside and let our people be harmed over and over and over without getting educated, get informed, and find out what we need to do. But I'd like to give the closing moments to Michael Brown Sr. If you have anything that you wanted to add to this moment, or tell us what today means to you. Oh, okay, no problem. Okay, well, before we get to Michael Brown Sr., we have Sean King who joined us. Do you have any, because I'm going to let you have the closing, I want you to have the closing thoughts. Sean King, do you have anything you want to add to the conversation before we go?
Sure, yeah, Portia, you've done a great job, and
Thank
it's my honor to be here with all of you and give my love and support to Michael Brown Sr. Just two quick things that I want to say. I love all the brothers that are on here, and one of my favorite people in the world is Uncle Bobby. Uncle Bobby, it's good to see you. We love and appreciate you and send our love to the family. One thing I wanted to say is, in these moments where we start to unify with one another, pay particular attention to people and voices that try to divide us and try to make us hate one another, to try to make us not stand with our brother Stephen Jackson, or to not stand and support our brother Chance, or to not stand with the family of Michael Brown. We've seen this over and over again. When we start to have momentum, all of a sudden people say, well, you shouldn't stand with this person or that person. And before you know it, if we listen to all those voices, we'll have nobody to support and nobody to stand with. And when you are in need, there'll be nobody there to have your back, because we've already abandoned each other. And so during these most difficult moments, these aren't moments where we have to be petty. These are moments, Portia, where we have to pull together and support each other. And sometimes that does mean weathering difficult moments. Sometimes that means having difficult conversations. But we're so quick, and some of this is a result of social media culture and other things. We're so quick to cancel each other.
Right.
And right now we can't afford to bail out on one another. And so when I see the men that are here, I'm glad to stand with you and to support you. I just wanted to say, I wanted to give a quick point of something, Portia, that I've seen that has worked. Now, many of us, including Michael Brown Sr., we actually fought hard to elect Wesley Bell, and you asked Michael Brown Sr. about that, and we're all very disappointed in that conclusion. But I wanted to give an illustration of something that happened that was profound. We just helped to elect a new district attorney in San Francisco. His name is Chesa Boudin. And Chesa said something that I want to confess, I didn't think was possible. When Chesa was running for office, and I came out there with Uncle Bobby and others when Chesa was running, when he was running for office in San Francisco, he said he was going to cut the jail population by 50%. And when he said that, I thought it would take him at least 4 years or maybe even 2 terms to do it. Chesa has been in office for 7 months and has already cut the jail population in San Francisco by nearly 60% in less than 7 months. Now, it shows the profound impact. Now, it has taken courage. Chesa literally has to have security. Just like our sister Kim Gardner in St. Louis as well, who also has to have security at her home around the clock as she tries to do this differently. But if you elect somebody to that position of district attorney or county prosecutor, and they go in there with courage, and if they go in there knowing that they are accountable to us, it's people like Uncle Bobby that helped elect Chesa in San Francisco. It was the support of the people. So guess who he now feels responsible to? He feels responsible to the people. And so what I thought it was going to take Chesa 2 terms to do, he's done in 7 months. And nobody in the country has cut their jail population by more. In effect, he is defunding the police right there. In fact, he listed nearly 200 different policy violations and other things that he would no longer charge people with, telling police, listen, if you charge people with this, or this, you can take them to jail, but we're not going to follow through with it, so you might as well stop arresting them for it. We're not going to process the charges, just stop it right away.
And that's the thing. When we put these people into office, it's about holding them accountable. They just do your job. That's it. Nobody else you do nothing. It is your job to serve the people, and that's what it looks like when somebody does it the right way. I really wanted to hear from Michael Brown Sr. before he left, but I believe he's going to stay on for the rest of the panel. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our performer. Thank you so much, everybody in this panel, for being here. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody who was watching. I hope you got something from it. And please follow all these individuals who have foundations and movements of their own. So I'm going to bring in Raheem Devon with his performance. Thank you so much.
Hey, I don't know why. Oh, I say they loaded cock and name is you. Hey, I say they loaded cock and name is you. Yo, peace, world, it's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon here, leader of the Love Life Foundation. It's been 6 years since the assassination of Mike Brown. I made the decision to be part of the change, and I encourage you to be part of the change that you want to see. And with that being said, let's get to it. Hey, hey, hey. Oh, yeah. I don't know why. Oh, the loaded cock and name is true. Oh, I see they loaded cock and I said they living like they bulletproof. Ooh. I see they loaded cock and name is true. Oh, the loaded cock and name is true. Oh, that some will die over oil and kill over land and charge it for taxes, then blame Uncle Sam, then read your rights, then charge it for nothing. Now who's really gangster? Tell me who's frontin'? Murdering sons and ravish your daughters. Here overseas and across the waters, we got tanks and missiles and bombs and grenades. Inject the land with drugs and AIDS. You better pray to the moonchild, whomever you praise. Politicians can't help it, they just puppets and slaves. Trying to get paid, and you are too. What you gonna do when I'm gonna point it at you? I said we're living. Hey, 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 hey. I said we know the copy name true. Oh, we gonna die living. Hey, I said we loaded. Whoa, I said we loaded copy name true. Hey, world, get you a paper and turn on the news and ride through the hood. I witnessed the blues. How can you ignore it? It's easy to spot it. A trap house, a liquor store, and your city got it. And my city got it. And they city got it. This world is chaotic. Nothing symbolic. So our babies perish. And your babies perish. Now tell me who's careless. I tell you who's careless. Now who should I pray to? What should I pray for? You can't pray no preacher for your redemption. I know where we're headed. I'm already ready to go what I'm saying. Like how was it in the end? We just live and we bang, 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 bang. We load the cock and lane shoot. Oh yeah, we just live it, bang. Hey, 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 bang, 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 bang. Oh, we loaded cock and name shoot. We gotta stop living. We eat. Bang, 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 bang. The loaded cock and name shoot. Oh, we just living. They loaded cock and name and shoot. They loaded cock and name and shoot. Hey, I said they living like they bulletproof. Yeah, they bang, 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 bang.
All right, everybody, thank you, Raheem Devon, for that amazing performance. Thank you for being here with us on our virtual experience, our town hall. Thank you, Portia Williams, for being an amazing moderator. We want to thank Chance the Rapper, Steven Jackson, Omar Dorsey, Michael Collier, Minister Dominique Alexander, of course, Michael Brown Sr., Uncle Bobby, and Sean King for being on our police brutality panel. I don't want to take any more time, but before we move on to our next panel, I do want to remind you to like, share everything from our social media. Hi, Michael. You in? Can you turn your camera off for us? You want to hit the
me?
You want to hit the square for us, and Uncle Bobby, if you could hit the square, thank you. And so make sure you go to our social media. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, like and share. We will have this whole broadcast also available to repost and resend. Make sure you push the square to exit and you can view the entire event without pushing your web camera. Make sure you visit our website, www.michaelbrownfoundation.com, in order to donate and join our coalition in our mailing list so that you can join forces with Chosen for Change in order to help us to continue to build the legacy of Mike Brown Jr. If you text to give, Mike Brown, no spaces, text Mike Brown to 63975, 63975. Text Mike Brown to 63975 to go to our GoFundMe and learn about how you can help us be the change. So without further ado, I want to introduce our next panelist and of course our moderator, who without further ado is going to knock this out of the park, Queen Yonajaha. She is the queen. She has been my right hand through this. Thank you so much. She is amazing and has been a blessing in order to put this entire event together, bringing in her resources, her people, her folks, you know. Thank you. She's a community resource activist, minister's granddaughter. She is amazing. I can't say enough about her, but I don't want to waste any more time because she's going to blow this out the water talking about community violence. So sister, I love you. I thank you and appreciate for standing with the Brown family in our foundation since 2014. I'm gonna let you take it away, babe.
Thank you so much, Jana. And thank you to the Mike Brown family and the Chosen for Change family. And to be here 6 years later, still no justice, but this is a day that we are celebrating the life of Michael Brown. We are celebrating the lives of other activists that have sacrificed their life to get justice for Mike Brown.
Yes.
Aaron, the list goes on and on, too many that was murdered in Ferguson after Mike Brown was assassinated. And so our prayers and everything goes to the Mike Brown family and cousins, relatives, friends, and then we all got a chance in these past 6 years to get to know Mike as the 18-year-old young boy. We see his graduation cap all the time. So I want to, we're doing community violence. I want to introduce Dr. Darnell Barnett. If you could please turn on your camera, your webcam. And as you are coming on, we'll also introduce Tierra Kyles. Hi, Dr. Darnell Barnett. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, hey, I'm Darnell Barnett. I'm the president-elect of the Association of Black Psychologists, and I am so excited to be with you all today. Looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you for coming in. Tierra Kyles, would you like to introduce yourself? And please forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong. My name is Yonajaha. You should that I should know how to pronounce people's names.
It's Tierra. You're saying it right. And how are you? I am a St. Louis known activist, also the daughter of Cedric the Entertainer, and actually about to be a future author. So yes, I'm glad to be here and glad to be a part of all of this.
Thank you. And we have actor, rapper, performer, Mac Wilds. Mac Wilds, please turn on your camera.
Hey.
Hey, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mac Wilds, hailing from New York City, Staten Island to be exact. Listen, I'm a little bit of everything: musician, actor, artist, director, activist, bigger than anything, and a black man bigger than that. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming and being a part of this. We have champion boxer Devon Alexander. Please turn on your camera. If you could turn on the little square camera thing on the left-hand side. Well, we're waiting. Oh, hey, how are you? Yeah, you got it.
How's it going?
Good. You would like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. My name is Devin Alexander, three-time world champion boxer from St. Louis, Missouri. I am excited to chat with you guys about the violence in our community. So I'm here. So let's make it happen.
Thank you. We also have Josh Powell. If you could please turn on your camera. Josh Powell. Well, we're waiting for Josh Powell. I would like to, every panel we are bringing awareness on the fathers that have lost their loved ones to police brutality. Would like to bring on Ron Davis. Please turn on your camera. While we're waiting for Ron Davis, I would like to, hey, Ron.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I'm going to have you share your story in 1 second, okay?
All right.
All right. We have Andrew Joseph. If you could turn on your camera. While we're waiting for Andrew Joseph, James Bowden, please turn on your camera. Hey.
All right, mic check, sound check, 1, 2, hey.
We hear you.
Hey.
Okay, I'm so happy to see you all.
Hey. What's up?
Okay, so we're talking about community violence, and I want to just take a couple of seconds for our fathers to share their story. Briefly, if you could just share your story on who your loved one is, Ron Davis.
Yeah, my loved one is Jordan Davis, young man that was killed in Jacksonville, Florida in 2012 at a gas station over loud music. This is Jordan.
Yeah.
And so I've been in this fight since 2012. And we were one of the few families, unfortunately, one of the few families that got complete justice in the court system where Michael Dunn, who shot and killed my son, we have to go to trial for 17 months and 2 trials and go through 3 judges. But we finally got justice for Jordan where he got life imprisonment with no chance of parole. First-degree murder for the killing of my son. So normally we don't get that, and especially in the South. I'm actually originally from, like I heard somebody else say, from New York. I'm originally from Harlem, New York. So shout out to you from New York City, from Staten Island. Yeah. And so I've been working with a lot of families. Andrew is my guy over there. Andrew Joseph has been working with his family down in Tampa and most of the families. And I just want to say, this thing that you're getting in, I heard Tiara said that, I think it was Tiara that said that she's just getting into it. Cedric is her father, and I met her father at a Trayvon Martin event. But you have to keep on with this. I'm 67 years old, and I'm out here still fighting, still protesting. So sometimes, you know, when you're young, you think, well, maybe I'll do it for a little while. But no, it doesn't stop. You got to keep doing it because the younger people growing up, they see you and they look to you and they see these gray hairs and whatnot. And they say, hey, this guy got gray hair, but he's still fighting. So all I want to tell the parents is keep fighting. Don't ever stop.
Thank you so much, Mr. Davis. And our love and prayers go to you and your family. So thank you so much for sharing your story. Andrew Joseph, I remember meeting you about 5 years ago in Ferguson. Do you mind sharing your story of your son, Andrew? Are you frozen? He looks like he's frozen. Oh, okay, there you go. Can you hear us, Andrew?
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, well, yep, we can hear you. Oh, no, we don't hear you.
I'm having
Okay,
a
now
little
we hear
breakup on my end, but I'll try to
I'll try to get through it. My name
Yeah.
is Andrew Joseph Jr. My son was Andrew Joseph III. He was killed February 7, 2014, here in Tampa. We allowed my son to go to the Florida State Fair, which is a local station, which is a local state fair here in Tampa. It's a school-sponsored event. While my son was at the fair, he was detained by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department. He was never charged with a crime. They took my 14-year-old honor roll student, in my world, a perfect child, placed him in a car, drove him off of the fair premises at the road. As he was trying to cross the street to get back to this fair, the safety of the fair, he was hit on top of I-4 by Jonathan Hatfield, 19-year-old white boy that was coming from the fair going to the casino. In my small world, he was coming from the bar, going to the bar. Jonathan Hatfield wasn't given a breath test. He wasn't given a ticket. He was allowed to leave the scene. My little boy's remains all over the front grill like nothing had ever happened. And again, this happened February the 7th, 2014. Right now, we're still in the federal court system fighting this case. The Sheriff's Department's been hiding under cyber immunity for the last 6 years. Right now, just recently, they just filed another cyber immunity, meaning, it was our bad, my mistake, but you shouldn't be mad at us. You shouldn't be suing us. We should just, because we're the police, we should just be let off the hook for the most part. And this is ridiculous. I mean, it's the hardest feeling in the world to have to go to the graveyard to visit your child. I mean, it tears you up. And this is a club that nobody wants to be in. This is a club that nobody volunteers for, that nobody wants. I mean, it's a burden that's built up to tear you down, mentally, physically, psychological, and as well as financial. This is a true burden. But we're asking everybody to stand with us and pray for us. We're still in the court system. Hopefully, we be able to see court sometime this year, maybe early next year.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew, for sharing your story. And can you say your son's name again, because I think we couldn't really hear?
Okay, again, my name is Andrew Joseph. My son is Andrew Joseph III.
Andrew
My name is Andrew Joseph Jr.
Yes.
And we have the Andrew Joseph Foundation.
Thank you so much. Let's support Andrew Joseph as well. I would love for James Bowden to share your story very briefly, if you don't mind.
Well, my story is kind of brief. I would like to say hello to everybody. My loved one was named Jamila Bowden. She was the 9-year-old girl sitting in the house doing her homework that got killed in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014.
Thank you for sharing that. And are you still fighting for Jamila right now?
Well, I'm actually still fighting to find out the true story because I was in the dark with everything. But they did catch the young man that did it. He was served 22 years with no possible parole. But to this day, there is still no true motive of what caused him to do what he done. And the reason why we were supposed to go to trial, but Miss Melissa Smith told me and my family the evidence that Ferguson had, they didn't want to submit it to the courts because it would have incriminated some people. So he just plea deal.
Wow. All across this nation, and thank you all for sharing your story and to keeping your loved one name in our faces, and on these platforms. And I know that all of us on this panel have all dealt with violence, with community violence, whether it was by the hands of the police or whether it's by, but a hater or enemy or whatever it is, we have all dealt with that. This question is for Dr. Darnell Barnett. What solutions have you seen that reduce violence in our communities? And what would it take to implement those strategies in other communities who are plagued with violence?
We have been, it's true, violence has been kind of a thread over the course of time. I mean, we were brought to, we were introduced to this country by violence.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of been a running theme. We have to have spaces for people to heal as a way to address. There's a few different programs that folks have tried out. The Interrupters has been a program where people are sort of on the ground and on the street, and they go to kind of talk with folks where they sense some violence may be ramping up and start to begin to bring some peace and de-escalate the situation before it turns violent. And there's kind of been variations of that model across the country with some success. But the overall atmosphere, I mean, the air of violence around us, it's creating spaces for people to heal. It's allowing people to experience the absence of trauma, right? If you imagine what that is, to be in the absence of these kinds of things, then that allows people, particularly for our folks, to reconnect with our values as a people, to reconnect with our humanity, the recognition that I see you and you see me, and because we have been reconnected with that value, then it has a way to minimize the anger, the frustration, the hypervigilance, the tension, the animosity that goes on around us. So it's creating spaces for people to heal, for as long term and in the short term, reducing, de-escalating those situations where we can.
This goes for Devin, Mac Wiles, and our sister here, Tiara. Entertainment, these platforms, sports, entertainment, all of that. It's like it's where everyone watching you all and everything like that. And I just want to know, like, have you used your platform to make a difference on addressing community violence or police brutality? And what have you done? And anyone could say anything.
Oh, you want to go first, Devin, or
yeah,
ladies?
Let's say ladies first, but
yeah.
Hey.
Hi everybody, it's so good to see you guys. Lots of love here, Cindy from St. Louis. Basically on my platform, so I began using my platform really when my brother was murdered back in 2015 June. He was shot 7 times in our grandmother's driveway. Mm-hmm. The person that actually murdered him did basically a plea bargain. So he basically gave up someone else in order for him not to go to prison. And so at this point, our family never received any justice. They stopped answering our phone calls and things like that. So at that point, that was like, I've had, people over the years living in St. Louis. It's a lot of violence here. And so I've experienced, people passing away, but that was the closest person, for me at that time that was, killed by gun violence. And so at that point, I just start posting and just writing things and, just letting people know, like, hey, here's some help, here's foundations, these are things that we can do. And I just always, I was really with it with the Mike Brown, but happened in Ferguson, because I grew up in Ferguson. So it was just like crazy to see my city and, the area just explode like that. And I've been, I've had my share of kind of pulled overs, don't tell me, with Ferguson, and so I've experienced that even as a Black woman of how disrespectful, and they don't really, they don't care. They don't care at all. They have no respect. And so surprisingly, it wasn't shocking for me to hear that it was a Ferguson police officer getting away with murder, because they're dirty cops. So yeah. At this point, I just continue to just speak and just provide information that people need. I actually gave a few of the elderly people rides to go vote last week. Just anything that I can do that I've been cooking and selling plates and, so I can donate to other funds. So, it's a difficult place to be, but it's where I have to be at this point for my cousin, for my brother, and, my entire family, basically.
Thank you so much. Mac?
I'm a kid from Staten Island, grew up in the projects my entire life. And if anybody, if anybody here knows about New York, especially back like in the 90s, early 2000s, we were victim to stop and frisk. And growing up in the projects, you would always get stopped. You could literally just have on the wrong colors. You could quote unquote look like somebody, and you're gonna get stopped. It got so frequent to the point where we started to know the cops. Like the cops knew us. Like we knew them by name. Like, okay, this is Curly Head and this is blah blah. Like you started giving them names because you had a weird like rapport with them. So coming from that, and then growing up, building with everything that I've done, getting a platform, building this platform, it's gotten to a point where I've realized, not a question of should I or should I not. It's like I have to. This is something that's necessary. This is something that happens in every little section of what they consider urban decay in America. Every spot, even though it may be in a different city, in a different state, this happens to us all of the time. And a lot of times we just don't have anybody to speak on where we come from, to speak on what we're going through. So I have to use my platform. I'm the nephew of an ex-Black Panther. I grew up with love of self and Black power in my mind from a young age. So to see this happening to us, it's constantly devastating. So yes, I have to use my platform. Like I have to do it for us, because if we don't do it, nobody else will.
Right. Thank you so much, Devin.
Well, for me, I like to play devil's advocate. A lot of people know that I hate the violence that's going on in St. Louis. In case a couple people from here on St. Louis know about the violence. And I try to tell people that we can focus on both police and the violence at the same time. A lot of times we don't want to talk about the violence, but we want to talk about the police. And like the guy with the 9-year-old, that wasn't right. That's not right at all. We're supposed to be talking about that. We're supposed to be marching for that. And that's where I'm kind of at with the violence that's going on in St. Louis. And for as what I do some every week. I love the kids in St. Louis. I grew up in the mean streets of St. Louis, 20th and Grand, where you can go outside and you see a drive-by. You can go outside and see a crackhead smoking a pipe. I mean that's how I grew up. So that when I was young, I always said I was going to come back and help as many kids as I can, do what I can. And every week I'm in the schools. Every other day I'm talking to some kids. Every other day I'm trying to motivate some kids to do the right thing, because that's what we need. That's what we need in St. Louis, especially around the world, to be honest. But St. Louis is definitely hit hard with a lot of violence. So I try to use my platform as much as I can, but also be devil advocate and say, hey, we got a internal problem with killing each other too. And a lot of them get mad at me for bringing it up, but it's the truth. So I try to balance it in a way, but I try to see it, speak how I see fit, meaning we got a police problem and we got a internal problem with killing each other. So I try to speak on both issues and try to fix both issues by giveaways in St. Louis, by donating my own personal money. I don't particularly like to donate to big organizations. I like to go and do it myself. That way I can see that my money's been used properly. So I do a lot. I mean, I don't want to take up everybody's time, but I do a lot in the area, and I just try to do what I can when I can.
Thank you so much. And you know what? That's a good point. because I always say there's different positions in revolution. In order for us to have freedom, justice, and equality and revolution for our people, you have to find your position. So whether it's, being an entertainer, an actor, and using your platform, or whether you are a chosen father to be able to bring awareness and to advocate on different levels, or whether you're a doctor or whatever it is, or a boxer, and we have to be able to help our people, period. So whether it's police brutality, black on black crime, which I hate that term, but whether it's that, we all have to be able to do our job in fighting for freedom, justice, and equality for our people. So that goes into my next question. Why do you think so many community crimes go unsolved, and how can we as a community change this? This is open to anyone.
The no snitch policy, that's what it is. That's why
okay, no snitch. Anyone else?
I don't want to tell mentality.
Okay, anyone else want to add on?
Yeah, what I'm sorry, what that
law enforcement really doesn't value black and brown lives like they value other lives. When they know it's a black or brown child, the value is just not there to go and seek, to properly investigate. They'll call the mother or father once in a while, maybe once every 2 weeks, and that's the end of the case. It becomes a cold case, and I think you have more black and brown people with cold cases than you have anybody in this world, probably. But almost every black family here in Jacksonville that have not gotten their cases solved, like Maurice Hobbs here in Jacksonville, they only get a call like once every 2 or 3 months just to say we're still working on it, and that's the end of it, and they don't solve those cases. But let a white kid get killed or get snatched up, then it's on Amber Alert and all these other kind of vehicles and all kind of social media from the police department to find that kid. If that kid's in the woods, if that kid's in the lake, if that kid's in the ocean, they're going to find that kid. But if it's a black and brown kid, then you just sit there at home as a parent and you just wait.
Okay. Anyone else? Why do any community crimes go unsolved? How can we as a community change this?
I think it's as a community. I think so. I'm gonna answer this backwards, right? I think as a community to solve this, we have to realize that it's gonna take a lot more of us to involve ourselves in certain things. Like we have to, I guess, for lack of a better term, we have to police ourselves. We have to learn how to handle a lot of situations more so for self, because what we're seeing or what we've seen in the years is it's us or nothing is ever going to happen. Like especially in our communities, which leads me to the first part of the answer. Right? I think a lot of the reason why a lot of these cases are going cold or you don't really hear much about them. And I could be wrong. This is just me, I guess, kind of observing it from the outside. It's the same reason to me. The reason why we have not as great school systems, right? Everything's based on the taxes that comes from the community. So if the police aren't getting paid as much as the white communities, they have something to push them to want to go solve certain crimes, whereas these cops are kind of just trying to get what they can and go home. I really think that they're not getting. There's no incentive for them to value our lives. They already are systematically predisposed to not like us, and now they're not getting any incentive as well on top of that. And then again, I do think another big part of it is the no snitching thing. But I think that the no snitching thing comes from, I guess, the mindset that police aren't going to do anything for us, or police are always going to get it wrong and blame somebody that isn't. They'll just come to the neighborhood and cause more problems than helping us. So I think that's kind of where the no snitching thing comes from. It's a vicious cycle. It's a very, very vicious cycle.
Yeah. I have go ahead, sis. Who is that?
No,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I just want to highlight, I'm Chicago based, and like most major cities,
Chicago.
there's been a rise of violence in this COVID era.
Yeah.
And I just want to highlight one story. We had a recent young child, I think it was about 8 or 9, that was killed in a drive-by. And from the reports, the people in the community decided that they had had enough. And so they proactively reached out to the police, and the suspect was apprehended within about 4 days, which is, that's the story that we don't hear very often. So I think that there does come to a point where people just get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and the snitching and the fear and all that other stuff, you put it to the side, especially when young, precious life is involved. And so I hope that that leads, we get some traction in this area.
The Michael Brown Foundation, Chosen for Change, does, and I want to shout out Michael Brown Sr. for keeping his son's name alive to all of us, and having the Michael Brown Foundation. And what they do is mentor and be there for a lot of families, and do a lot of mentorship to young people in St. Louis. And we have our chosen fathers on the panel right now. I love that every year what they do is they come together as fathers, and they give each other ties. And what else do you all do, Mr. Davis or Mr. Joseph, on something? I just want to just end it off with, I just want to just let everyone know what you all do as chosen fathers. Or is that only for you all?
Well, yeah, this is a very special club. This is all love. Every time that we get together, this is the first time that we're going virtual, so it's our rookie run. So far it's really good. But this is something that nobody else can ever understand. To have to, there's so many feelings that's involved that, if you haven't walked in these shoes, you have no idea. You only imagine. And this is reality. This is something that doesn't disappear. When you sitting on a commode, when you standing at the red light, when you have any kind of odd minute in your life, this is bouncing around in your head. So most of us has developed our foundations and able to get therapy and work to the community through the therapy. It's a great celebration every time we're near. We thank God for Michael Brown and all the people that give us the different platforms to be able to share our stories. Because, just like the United States, the mothers have took over, and we're very grateful for that. But it is very important for the fathers to have voices as well. And this is one of those opportunities where we have voices, and we thank everybody for tuning in.
And Mike Brown one year took us to a lake in Missouri.
Don't do it.
I ain't gonna tell you what happened, but we went to a lake, and they said you can just blow off steam at the lake. So we blew off steam at the lake. Can't tell these young pups what happened, but we had a good time.
We all look forward to August, because it's something different every year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, real fast.
The champ up there reminds me of my son. The champ up there reminds me of my son. He used to wear the red cap and everything, man.
I read about the story. And I want to say hello to you, and I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm with you. You.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. No, I want to reiterate that statement, man. I want you to listen. As a brand new father, I can't imagine that feeling, and hearing you guys' story, and then reading you guys' story. It's heartbreaking every time, man. And again, as a black man, as a new father, listen, I appreciate you, and thank you for keeping these children's names alive, man. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you all. And and our sisters in the movement, my sister, I think that it's important that we continue to support our men. And and what they're doing with Chosen for Change. So everyone that's tuning in, please donate. The MikeBrownFoundation.org. Donate. They need your help. They need our help. And let's continue to Devin and Mac Wilds, continue, and then even to my sister Tiara, continue to use your platform, to be able to help our people, all of these families, whether they got mainstream media or they did not. They need our support. They need our help. And then I believe that as long as we continue to amplify our voices together to be able to make change, vote, push our people into office. Shout out to Congresswoman Cori Bush right
Corey Bush.
Yes.
Big win. Big win.
Yes, big win, big win, you know, and so that's all that matters. And so I just want to thank you all so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule. We're going to go ahead and transition into the next panel. Please continue to tune in. Watch. We have some great people coming on. We got Yusuf Salam. We have my sister Mumu Fresh, who's going to sing an amazing song dedicated to Sandra Bland. We have Reverend Al Sharpton, Pastor Jamal Bryant. I mean, we just got, the list goes on and on. So I want to thank you all. And also on behalf of the Michael Brown family and the Michael Brown Foundation, thank you all so much. And we're going to continue to scream hands up.
Don't shoot.
All right. That's just for Mike Brown. Peace.
If I should die tomorrow at the hands of the policeman, ooh, and the papers say we're gonna call it a suicide, would you even question why? Ooh, would you shake your head, say this ain't right? Would you do your best to forget about me? Please don't forget about me. Oh, say my name, say my name, say my name, say my name, my name. Oh Lord, say my name. Oh, my name. Oh, my name. My name. Oh, my name.
If I should die, ooh, tomorrow, at the hands of the policeman, ooh, would you remember me for the good I've done? Or will my name be smeared and my story unsung? Would you search for the answers or take what the hand does? Who's gonna stand with me? Please, please, please don't forget about me. Oh, say my name, say my name, say my name, say my name, say my name. Oh, say my name, say my name. Oh, my name, say my name, my name, say my name, my name. Thank you.
Wow, what an absolutely beautiful performance, smooth, fresh, absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. That was extremely beautiful. Thank you. In honor of Mike Brown Jr. on this day. Thank you for joining us. If you have just tuned in to our virtual experience, we had an amazing community violence panel. Thank you, Queen Yunajaha, Dr. Donnell Barnett, from the National Association of Black Psychiatrists, Tiara Kiles, Devin Alexander, Josh Powell, who we're trying to still get in, Mac Wild, thank you, Ron Davis, our chosen fathers, Ron Davis, James Bolden, and Andrew Joseph. Next panel we have is systemic racism. We do not want to miss a moment, and I don't want to take any more time. Before we go, please make sure that you like and follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Visit our website, www.michaelbrownfoundation.org, to donate, to join our coalition, and to join our mailing list. Make sure you text to give. Text the name Mike Brown, no spaces, to 63975. Text Mike Brown to 63975. And that is linked to our GoFundMe. Next, we have Erica Cobb as our moderator. Erica Cobb is a TV personality. She is a co-host to Daily Blast Live. I want to thank Erica. Her wonderful co-hosts, Daily Blast Live, when Michael Brown Sr. and brother Anthony Shaheed were in Minnesota right after George Floyd was murdered. They covered Michael Brown Sr. and brother Anthony Shaheed in Minnesota. And I just want to thank you for giving us that platform in order to share Michael's story and to give us a platform to share Mike Brown Jr.'s story as well. So I don't want to take any more time. We're going to hit this stage running. We have a powerful, jam-packed panel. So Eric Cobb, welcome to the stage.
Hi, Jana. Thank you so much.
Hello, beautiful.
Oh, can you? Oop, sorry.
Welcome, welcome.
Well, first, I want to thank you so much for having me on and be a moderator today. Obviously, we were all devastated by the news this last week, and I understand that Chosen for Change Foundation is a very small family. So the fact that you were able to get this together is amazing, and I am honored to be here.
Thank you. Absolutely. Take it away.
So we want to start first. I am Erica Cobb, and I am really honored to be here. I want to start with our panelists, and I understand some of the panelists came in a little earlier, so we're going to see who's still here. We have one of the most followed and shared activists and journalists on the planet. His social good campaigns have raised over $40 million for families in need. Please welcome Sean King. Our next panelist, criminal justice reform advocate and 1/5 of the Exonerated Five, featured on the Netflix series When They See Us. Please welcome Dr. Yusef Salaam. Next, we have, after being sentenced to over 100 years in prison, during his 2-year stay in solitary confinement, he made the decision to turn his life around. Now known to many as the Ambassador of Hope, he travels around the world to serve as a mentor and listening ear for so many in need. Please welcome Andre Norman. And for this veteran actor, the journey is more important than the destination. He has an expansive career in television, film, and theater, with credits including The Temptations, We Belong Together, and If Loving You Is Wrong, to name a few. Please welcome Charles Malik Whitfield. And my co-host for the nationally syndicated show Daily Blast Live, and a professional comedian for 15 years. He is a devoted father of 3 and a passionate advocate for the African-American community. Please welcome Al Jackson. Today, our chosen fathers include Otis Bryant, chosen father from St. Louis, Missouri, of Darius Collier; Patrick Pierce, chosen father from St. Louis, Missouri, of Patron Pierce; and David Morris Jr., chosen father from St. Louis, Missouri, of David Morris Jr. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you. Well, I want to start with you, Andre. Andre Norman, I watched your TED Talk on how to fix the American prison system, where you say the people inside don't make the rules, they just survive within the rules. So how do you respond to the quote, community violence and police violence are measurable manifestations of policy violence when it comes to systemic racism?
Violence in the community has been perpetrated and allowed for as long as we've been here for. And as long as we look at the system as it is and it's constructed, it's going to continue to produce what it's produced. Our school systems are set up to not work. Our communities are set up not to work. Even the welfare system designed to destroy. I mean, I understand in the 60s not wanting to feed an able-bodied man because you should have their job. Let's go forward 40 years. That system hasn't worked. You've broken the family down to the point where you pay for the father to live in a house on Section 8, and you pay for the mother to live on the house Section 8, but you won't let them live together. You pay for them to live separate. So the systems that are in place are designed to bring about destruction. And what's acceptable in our communities is not acceptable anyplace else. So the hundreds, if not thousands of Black people who are murdered, even if it's by our own hand, annually is acceptable. It would not be acceptable in other communities. So it's not so much racism as a policy. I have no problem with racism. If you don't like me because I'm Black, fine. Be a racist. It's your right. Just don't come be a cop in my neighborhood. Don't be a school teacher in my neighborhood. Don't be a ER doctor in my neighborhood. So it's the system as it's constructed that's set up not to work from K1 forward. So when we speak to the system and we want to ratify the system's allowed brothers to be just hidden. I watched this brother's movie. I don't cry often, but I'm grown, and it hurt my heart to watch what they did to them brothers. It was the system is okay.
Right.
It's the system. You can just grab any Black out the street and do whatever you want, and we'll have a march for you, or we'll burn a building down. But it's okay. We can't do that to other sets of people, but you can do it to us, and that's by design.
You know, Andre, I appreciate your thoughts, because when we're talking about systemic racism, it's really the foundation of everything that we're referring to in terms of police brutality, the fundamental nature of how our communities and how our country has really been founded. You alluded to Dr. Yusef Salam. I'd like to get to you next because I saw your interview or the feature when speaking to the New Yorker. As a member of the Exonerated Five, you said, "It's the strangest thing in the world to me. I was telling the officers the truth and they took my words and they twisted it." Now, as someone who has been egregiously victimized by systemic racism, who do you believe is responsible for changing it?
You know, I think that when I look at the overarching umbrella that allows for what we see and what we experience here in America and really around the world, you know, we're talking about something more pervasive, something more devious at hand. And, you know, I've often said that when we think about the roots, we're talking about really spiritual warfare. We're talking about battling good over evil. Because if you're trying to solve a crime and you're telling me, or you are not telling me my Miranda warnings, and you're not telling me what my Miranda warnings mean, just in general, if I've never been told that, if I've never been educated as to what that means, most people think I'm going to go to the cops and tell them what I saw. And like I said, I'll be home before my mom gets back. I came home 7 years later. My comrade who came there with me to have my back, Corey Wise, he came home almost 14 years later. Because what we fail to understand is that you have the right to remain silent. Most of us, when we get into the interaction with the officers, we say we know our rights. But what we fail to understand is part 2 kicks in. Anything you say not might be used against you, but can and will be used against you in a court of law. Then they say you have a right to an attorney, and then they tell you, well, you know, you don't really need an attorney if you're not guilty. So you can talk to us. And so it's all about technology that's going on. It's all about getting us to believe that they are really trying to solve this crime when in fact they are looking at you as prime suspect number 1. When it comes to Black and brown folks, we are not seen as innocent having to prove ourselves guilty. We are seen as guilty and have to prove ourselves innocent. And unfortunately, I learned that just 1 year senior to Emmett Till, who was 14 when he passed away, when he was murdered.
You know, Dr. Salam, there's so many layers, obviously, to your entire story. One thing that during one of the interviews that I watched with you, you hit on the idea that had they gotten the right person, the person who actually committed this crime, then there was a woman and her unborn child who would still be alive today. So it's the idea that the system wants to pin it on these young Black and brown kids. But the reality is that there's someone out there who's actually doing the offending. And that means that the community is no safer for locking up the wrong person.
That and also that the sick reality that's going on is that even though the evidence pointed to the fact that we had not done this, everybody's false confession was known to be false from the beginning because nobody's story matched anything anyone else was saying. But somehow, some way, in the minds of the system, it was more sexy for it to be 5 brutes brutalizing a white woman. And so you can imagine the triggering effect that it had when that man was being told by a white woman in Central Park just recently, "I'm calling the cops. You're accosting me. You're doing this and doing that." And we all saw the video, and it was chilling to the bone, which is the reason why I mentioned Emmett Till, because it's almost as if when they cry, we die. Here it was a situation where they knew they had no DNA evidence, but yet they were using technology in the media back then by putting in big, bold headlines, DNA evidence. And then when the DNA didn't match, it was in smaller headlines, but the negative residue of that larger headline had its effect. Right. So much so that as you look at this case, you see Donald Trump, who is now the president of these United States, taking out full-page ads not 2 weeks after we were accused. I'm sorry, not 2 weeks after we were going to trial, but 2 weeks after we had been accused of the crime. We hadn't even gone to trial yet. And they were trying to get someone from the darker enclaves of society to do to us what they had done to Emmett Till.
You We appreciate you sharing your testimony and your experience. I do want to take this time to speak with one of our chosen fathers, Otis Bryant. Can you share the story of your son, Darius Collier?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. How y'all doing? Can you hear me?
How are you?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. First of all, thanks
sir.
everybody for joining in. So this is my son, Darius Collier. He was killed in a drive-by shooting in one of our high crime neighborhoods here in St. Louis. So as he laid on the ground, he was being resuscitated by a neighborhood nurse. And while she was resuscitating him, the policeman came upon her with the guns drawn and made her get away from his body. And ultimately, he passed away. It's been a hard thing here in the city of St. Louis. Crime is, we're like #1 for gun violence right now, murders. I started working for St. Louis Public School back in '96. The middle school I worked at is in the College Hill neighborhood. We've had over 70-something students that I personally knew that have been shot down in the streets due to gun violence, and nothing has been done to help that neighborhood. And even still to this day, we have kids walking to school in the morning time, stepping over dead bodies, have to look at bodies laying in open fields, and they have not upgraded or put any money into that environment. So all these kids have known for the last 10 years that I know for sure is nothing but death and tragedy here in St. Louis.
And Mr. Bryant, we appreciate you sharing your son's story as a chosen father, and also for illuminating what we're really talking about on this panel. Systemic racism has been the fabric of our country. We are so blinded or taught to be blinded because we aren't taught in schools, as you're mentioning, kids going to school, not even learning the true history, our true history, and then having a very real experience that most other children in this country don't have to have. So the idea that now that we have all of these mediums and platforms and social media, that we can really tell the truth and speak to our own experiences is just incredibly important. And I really appreciate your transparency. I want to get to Charles Malik Whitfield because, a lot of what we see in Hollywood or the images that we see on television, people believe are the representations of the truth. And sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't. But I do want to ask about the Academy Award-winning movie, The Help, because it noted that domestic workers who were overwhelmingly Black were not entitled to Social Security benefits. And as an actor, what role do you believe Hollywood plays in the depiction of systemic racism?
I think that's a good question, but I think it's all about perspective. First off, I want to say thank you and hello to all my brothers out here, panels ahead of us and to come. I'm just so grateful to be a part of this platform of love and togetherness. And so to speak to that question, it's perspective. And perspective says, what is Hollywood and who is Hollywood? So when we understand that so many of us can be a part of this dynamic synergy called artistry, many a times we are not also understanding that it's also corporate driven as well. So to have a corporate structure set up and also to be an artist and have an independent system set up, there's a lot of different multifaceted scenarios that are going to bring out a lot of people's truths, their ideas, their realities, and then other people's business-driven model that says, I can put a little bit of this in and take a lot of that out. And so the narrative of what is Hollywood and how does that affect us are images that we dissect and that we digest as children early on, affect our mental psyche, our spiritual fortitude, and also the ability to look in the mirror and understand how we are loving ourselves and also how we're being perceived. So we've had a lot of negative images come up. I grew up in the Bronx, in New York City, where there was a lot of violence. I'm a survivor of gun violence. I'm a survivor and probably had to also be a contributor of violence at a young age to survive. So to come to this perspective now, also be a father of 7 kids, also knowing that Mike Brown could have been 23 this year, the same age as one of my other sons, as I have older ones and younger ones and young women as well. It's information, information, information. And as these young men and elders of our community and staples of truth are able to not only tell their stories, there's been a lack of, for many a times, the connection where we can really be interacting with the youth that are having so many trouble, problems, scenarios that are breaking them down mentally. Spiritually, they're a void because we're not getting the support they need. And in a lot of our communities, whether we're in St. Louis, Chicago, New York City, Los Angeles, where I'm at presently, there's still a missing void of what opportunities are in the community, so we can stay the course or stay away from a lot of the madness that wants to pull our spirits down. Because when our spirits are low and our heads are hanging low, we're not even looking at the near possibilities of what's coming in front of us. And so I think this platform is very important because it's about game planning, and it's not about necessarily over making sure that we react when we don't have any plan possible, but putting something in place that speaks not only to Hollywood, that speaks to us as contributors of the images and the things that we are digesting and we are allowing to be digested in our household with our kids, from Grand Theft Auto to any other video game, and the desensitization of violence that is just becomes just another kid, as he says, that somebody's walking over. And
Right.
that desensitization that happens with us all too well, and the broken down structure when we start to talk about systemic in our communities of our broken fathers, our broken households, our broken mothers. So there's a lot of healing that needs to happen. But if we're not willing to address it and also willing to raise our hand and say, I need help. So while I still can't breathe and I want to give it up to God, but I also need help, and I can't do this alone without all these dynamic men, women, and children that also get to be inspired and know that we are not alone, because that hopelessness of feeling alone makes us feel so minute in our voice. But our voice really stands up to become harmonious and a choir and a chorus when we get to find our notes with so many other people. And so that's what I speak to that with.
Well, Mr. Whitfield, we appreciate you because representation matters. You have been representing us well for decades at this point. So I do want to talk about the idea of needing help and needing the community, especially when tragedy strikes. So Patrick Pierce, will you share the story of your son with us, please?
My son was like kind of on the boundaries of, making decisions as he was growing. So I happened to be a penitentiary dad. I've been, in and out of incarceration all my life. Patron, of course, came to see me a lot. So I was a picture and visit dad, of course, by me being incarcerated in the Fed. So I had a letter that I had wrote him 2 years before I came home. The letter that I had wrote him, everything in the letter I wrote him, it happened to him. And this is something with him. It makes me feel like a failure. I feel like I failed him, being that I had the knowledge that I have from being out here in these streets. And once I went in on this go round, my last go round, so happened I came to my senses and I educated myself and, got my education and got my head together. And I was trying to spring that on the Patron. So my main question that I had for him was, what you gonna do, son? Put the football down and pick up a gun? Okay. He wind up picking up the gun, and he wind up catching a case, accused of shooting someone, and he got locked up, and we wind up, you know, getting him bonded out or whatever and everything. So my thing today, I also asked myself, if we would have left him there, would he still be alive? This thing is so crushing to me, because I feel like I failed my son. And people keep telling me, no, I didn't. You know, Mike keep talking to me about it and everything, but I still feel real bad. The kid was a good kid. He was a smart kid. He was very handsome. He was popular in high school with the football. He was good. And somewhere that attraction in his genes from us was in him, and he was attracted to the street stuff. You know what I'm saying? Which a lot of our young black brothers and sisters are. They attracted to seeing brothers walking with guns. They're attracted to guns. They're attracted to, you know, seeing violence and playing video games with violence and things of that nature. They're attracted to that. That helps them cope, you know, which really to me is the wrong answer. You know, my thing is, I think that all of us should go back to the 70s and 80s and take a look at what was going on at that time, even though it wasn't that great. Now, it wasn't that great for us, never. But I feel that era and time in life was a beautiful era and time in life for our people. And I feel that if we can do some study on those 2 decades and see kind of where it got, off the wall, because it used to be a lot more respect, out here. Brothers used to listen to the old heads. Youngsters used to listen to the old heads. These youngsters out here now, they don't want to, they don't want to do nothing but kill you and tell on you. They're not scared of nothing. They don't care if they die. They driving these cars around like they crazy. And my thing is, I think that we got to get out here and put the footwork in, and we got to sacrifice our lives like our ancestors did.
Patrick, yes.
People got to put
I
got to put their life on the line out there for this, to change this stuff.
And I mean, Patrick, I don't mean to cut you off. First of all, I want you to know that, as a father, clearly I can't understand, or I can't empathize with your pain, but I certainly sympathize with it. I think that what you're doing for Patron right now is amazing, keeping his name alive and talking so generously about your pain, his story, and your testimony. That's helping people who are listening and watching right now, and it makes other people think. I do want to get to my brother, Al Jackson, because as a father, we're talking about being a Black man and a father, and I know you're a father of 3. You're on national TV daily. So how are you using your platform to make a difference?
Well, Erica, first of all, it's great to just hear everybody's story. And for me as a father, it's a never unfolding story for me, because we do cover these stories daily for all the tragedies that we've covered. The one that hit me almost the hardest was the Elijah McClain story. The young African-American male that was killed. He was definitely on the spectrum. My youngest son is on the spectrum. And I remember talking to my ex-wife, and she just said it was the scariest story she's ever seen, because that is our son, a person that is unable to communicate, scared of things like flashing lights, like sirens, like people yelling at him. And we're already, as parents, still young. Like, what are we going to do as we get older? What are we going to do sending a kid that's already a pretty big kid at 6 years old, who's going to be 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", but also unable to communicate, seen as a threat in the society? So how do we deal with that? What I've decided to do, and how I approach every single day, gentlemen, is I try and take the stories that we're handling that day and pull back and create a narrative so that the audience that watches this every day can follow along. For example, I told a story one time, Erica, and I'm sure when people first saw it, they didn't think much of it. It was I was dressed like I kind of am now. I had my earpiece in, and on Fridays I used to go, back when you could see people, I used to go get coffee for the hair and makeup team. I'm walking back with 4 or 5 cups of coffee, and my shoe was untied. And I remember trying to pick a place to stop, to kneel down, to tie my shoes, because I was scared as a black man to stop in front of somebody's home, because I knew that could be used as a reason to call the cops on me and for whatever may unfold after that to take place. Cut to 2 weeks later after I tell that story. Unfortunately, the young man, Ahmaud Arbery, is murdered. House, looking at the piping, and people saying, well, maybe they thought he was stealing from that house. And that was an example of how I'm saying black men are constantly thinking about, how can we preserve our life? How can we avoid interaction with the police? And a lot of our viewers wrote me and said, I didn't understand your story then. I understand it now. And it's all about just creating a larger narrative for our viewers to understand that black men are under attack mentally, physically, and verbally, and with dog whistles every single day. And when I say black men, I mean black folks.
And I want to add to that real quick. I'm going to jump into that real quick, because we live in a society that wants us to prove something. And the truth of the matter is, when somebody speaks and says this is real, all they have to do is acknowledge it and say yes, not prove it to me over and over. You know, as I used to go jogging in the Bronx up near University College off of Tremont and Burnside, I remember just getting tackled to the ground by undercovers and a gun to my head. And the answer and the question wasn't, it was just moving. I didn't know they were undercovers, just some people in hoodies, which were white detectives, undercovers, but they had nothing to say. He don't have a gun on him. Okay, you could go. I couldn't even have an answer or rebuttal to that. I had another instance where my son, who is 29 now, I was picking him up from his mom's house, went to the train station to take him back home. Someone thought that I had an altercation with her, wanted me to put my son down, who was 2 years old, in my hands, pulled a gun on me and said, put the kid down. You want to be a big man? I heard you put your hands on somebody. I said, I don't even know what you're talking about. You want me to put my son down? So, and you're going to point a gun at me? Nonetheless, African-American cop who was in the background coming with him, he had to intervene. And I had to ask him, you're going to allow all of this happen with my son in my arms. I need you to intervene and say something to him. Right. I can prove who I am. So I can speak of these of 20 to 30 years ago, and to hear the current situations. And so when people say systemic racism, and people and African-American people say, I feel uncomfortable with the police, and why do I have to prove my truth? It just is. And if I can say I'm a part of a Me Too movement, allow my truth to be heard and resonate, because it is an ugly truth that we live in.
And on that note, and we could talk about systemic racism forever, but I am getting the wrap. So I just want to thank you, Dr. Yusef Salaam, Andre Norman, Charles Malik Whitfield, Al Jackson, and Chosen Fathers, Otis Bryant and Patrick Pierce. Gentlemen, thank you all so much for your time. And thank you for allowing me to be your moderator.
I love you, man.
Thank you. Love you guys. Great job, Erica. Love you, girl.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Erica.
I'm going to welcome at this time Reverend Al Sharpton.
Erica, an absolutely beautiful job. Well done. And thank you to our panelists. Al Jackson, we had Dr. Yusef Salaam, Andre Norman, Charles Malik Whitfield, Chosen Fathers, Otis Bryant, Patrick Pierce, and I'm sorry we didn't have David Morris Sr. on this evening. We miss you and we wish you well. And I hope I didn't miss anyone else. All right, so moving on, I just want to welcome to the stage, if we could please have Reverend Al Sharpton hit your webcam and join me on stage. I thank you for this adjustment in schedule for joining us at this time, Reverend Al Sharpton. You could hit the webcam button that's flashing. If you haven't yet, please go like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Michael Brown Foundation, Chosen for Change. Our website is www.michaelbrownfoundation.com. Make sure you go to Cash App if you have it, at Chosen for Change. Donate now. You can text to give. Text Mike Brown, no spaces, to 63975. Text Mike Brown to 63975. Get Reverend Al Sharpton to click that webcam and join me. Click the webcam and join me now. We're going to talk about Reverend Sharpton. For anyone that is new to the panel or just joining us, thank you for joining us. This has been the Black Celebrities and Chosen Fathers virtual town hall honoring Mike Brown Jr. This has been the 6th annual Michael Brown Jr. Memorial Weekend, and we thank you for everyone who is standing with us today and has stood with us since 2014. We just want to thank you on behalf of the Brown family and the Mike Brown Foundation. We are asking you, if you have been standing with us since 2014, our business, family, foundation, individual, an organization, if you hashtag Mike Brown, if you created a business on the name of Mike Brown, join hands with us, link arms with us, and join our coalition, because we are supporting the legacy that the father is building in the name of Mike Brown Jr., and we need your help. This is the legacy in the name of Mike Brown. So we want to join together in order to build a legacy for Mike Brown Jr. Justice for Mike Brown means supporting the father's legacy. All right, so since we can't get Reverend Sharpton at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce Carlos Ball. Carlos, would you like to join me if you could turn your camera on? Carlos Ball is a spoken word poet. Carlos has been spitting in honor of his late brother, Harry Ball Jr. Please answer that. Since he was murdered by St. Louis police. Hey, brother. Oh, now we have Al? Okay. Good evening, Mr. Sharpton.
Good evening. Good evening. We had a little technical problem here.
I understand. We're in the age of technology and pandemics all at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. But let me thank you for letting me come in. I really think it is important that all of us support what Mike Brown Sr. is doing. When this
Could you bring your volume up a little bit for me?
Is that better?
A little bit.
Hello?
That's better.
What's been happening all over the country for so many years. But I think that the takeaway that people should Mike Brown Foundation is rarely have we seen a father step up and defend his son with the diligence all over the world. Mike Brown Sr. has not stopped. He's been all over the world. When every incident, every tragedy, every killing and murder that has happened since then 6 years ago. And I came in and worked with Mike and his wife and with Michael Jr.'s mother and her husband from day one. They had me do the eulogy. When I got to George Floyd this year, Michael Brown was there and is on his way to join us in Washington. So this foundation is not about edification of just Michael Brown Sr. It's about a father doing what we preach we want to see fathers do. That no matter what happens in life, who you bring in the world, you must stand up and fight for. And he has symbolized that. He's epitomized that. And I hope people call in and give and support this foundation as they show men all over the world how they need to stand up for their daughters and their sons. And I don't care if you got $5 or $50,000, whatever you can do, you ought to do it, and you ought to do it on the anniversary. What happened to Michael Brown Jr. was unjust. The criminal justice system did not operate fairly for him, did not bring what this family deserved.
Right.
But we should keep fighting, as we are continuing to see now, whether it's Breonna Taylor in Louisville, whether it is Ahmaud Arbery in Brunswick, Georgia, whether it's George Floyd, what happened in Minneapolis, whether it is what happened to Rashad Brooks in Atlanta, and McLean in Colorado, all over. We're seeing what's happening, and we cannot get weary. We have got to be diligent and fight behind and with and shoulder to shoulders the soldiers that have done that, and that's what the Michael Brown Foundation is about. I'm certainly sending in mine. National Action Network is sending in theirs, but I just wanted, we're doing a national conference call on the Washington March tonight, but I wanted to break out of that to just say to people, I appeal to you. I've worked for the last several decades, but I've not seen a man stand with the strength, the consistency, and the diligence. He could have went off to the sunset and just done interviews, but he's in the trenches, and he's doing it every day, and he's doing it because he wants to show what real black manhood is about. A lot of people talk the talk, but won't walk the walk. So the least you can do is come on and give with a meaning, and give the salute, the personification of what black fatherhood and manhood should be about. And I think that is why we are all on today. People understand that this man represents the best. My father left when I was very young, and I never enjoyed a father. And we have family breakups, but it doesn't break down your responsibility and your obligation to those you bring in the world. And Michael Brown Sr. has represented that, and this foundation signifies that. We should support it with our dollar. Don't say right on, write a check, or or go to PayPal and do what you need to do, and do it right now. Thank you for letting me interrupt, but I had to say that.
Amen. I thank you.
Little brother, Michael Sr. is my little brother.
Yes, sir. God bless you. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you, Captain.
All right.
See you soon. Awesome. Thank you for that. We appreciate you for coming on, Reverend Sharpton. And with no further ado, I do want to toss it back to Carlos Ball for some inspiration, some heart-tugging words of empowerment and just chilling inspiration. Carlos Ball, would you like to join us on camera now?
Jana.
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I'm blessed. Great to see you.
Good to see you always.
Yes, I'm gonna let you have the floor. And I see Kerry behind you. You always got his back and front.
Right.
And I'm gonna let you take it away, bro.
All right, the name of this piece I'm gonna do tonight is called Am I Wrong? I said, you see, I'm angry. Now tell me, am I wrong? Because for far too long in this place we call home, I just felt like I don't belong. Now tell me, am I wrong? I mean, I know I'm a man, the black man, so I'm supposed to be strong, but come on. How much more are we supposed to face? I mean, like, really, how much more are we supposed to take from the United States? I mean, the United States. You know, the home of the brave and the land of the free and the justice for some, because it damn sure ain't for me. Why? Because I can't seem to understand how two cops could put 21 bullets inside of my brother, Kerry Ball Jr., who was just a man, be able to go home free just to possibly do it all over again. So am I wrong for feeling as if my people don't have rights? Because look what happened in the open carry state with BB guns to John Crawford and Tamir Rice. But never mind our civil rights, we can't even get human rights. But that's because we're dealing with a system of the haves and the have-nots, like the Youngs and the Criers. But you see, if that officer were supposed to be in on Florida, then he'd have never been anywhere near Bondera Myers. So please excuse me if I don't believe anything the media has to say, because in no way could there have been a self-inflicted accident that took place that day in that gym room with KJ. So am I wrong for feeling like my people need to be heard because the world should know how negligent Temple was with Andrew Joseph III? Or am I wrong for feeling like I'll be letting my very own sisters down if I don't take a stand? Because on any given day, they could have been Sandra Bland, Rakia Boyd, Megan Hagaday, Breonna Taylor, Jamila Bolden, Ayanna Jones, Kim King, or any one of our queens. So am I wrong for feeling like since we have the pressure up against the system, we should not quiet down? Because I'm still upset about the murders of Mike Brown, Marlon Brown, Tony Robinson, Eric Garner, Laquan McDonald, Amadou Diallo, Freddie Gray, Oscar Grant, Mansour Ball-Bay, Tyrone West, Jamar Clark, Stephon Clark, George Floyd, Alton Sterling, Justice Howell, and Jimmy Powell. But you see what's the biggest shame? Is that out of all those names, little to no justice came. So is it the individual killers or the system who shall hold the blame for so many of these different victim family pain? You know, the endless grief, the continuous weep, the long nights with no sleep, no appetite we can't eat, or the worst of all, the feeling of defeat because the killers of our loved ones still walk the street. But if the killer were you or if the killer were me, then there's no way in the world that we will still be free. So I have no faith in the justice system as I continue to tell you why, because if I comply, I still can die. And instead of charging my kill, they'll try to justify by saying that they fear for their lives, and we all know that's a lie. But better yet, it's a justification not to conduct investigation. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that when we're wrong, there shouldn't be consequences we must face. But how come it's always deadly force when they're dealing with our race? But then turn around and say that we're all equal, so like a slap in the face. So excuse me, I feel like the treatment here has not been fair because their American dream has just been our American nightmare. And then they say things like, let's make America great again. But hold on, wait. If we're talking about for everyone, when has America ever been great? When even in the very beginning, it was founded off of hate. Now, let's be real. That's not even up for debate. So I have to ask the question again, when has America ever been great? Maybe it was great when good and land were being stolen by thieves. Or maybe when we were enslaved and being hung from trees. Or maybe it got great for some after the Depression. But you see, since me and my people been here, all we've seen is oppression. So they keep telling us to quit talking about the past and let America heal. But how can we heal with George Steiny Jr. and Emmett Till haven't received justice still? So am I wrong for feeling like Tupac because I see no change? Because my people literally went from chains to change. So as much as things have changed, it just remained the same. But you see, those injustices are only part of the problem that we're facing when it comes to this nation. Because what about mass incarceration, blatant discrimination, or the fact that we can't even have a conversation surrounding reparations, or the way they use extermination to push gentrification by dropping guns and drugs in place of recreation? But then we're supposed to instill into the next generation that the key to success goes through the door of education. But once we're in the real world, we're met with discrimination. You see, I can apply for a business loan and meet all the qualifications, but get denied, but watch them give it to someone else with no hesitation. But they say we don't receive deprivation when it comes to this nation. So I'm not supposed to be mad or have any type of frustration. I guess I'm not supposed to be upset at the fact that the war on drugs is really just a war on thugs, you know, the substitute word for black. So since we know exactly what it is, we have to pay attention to that and stop being so focused on the cheese that we forget about the trap. So you see, it's time for us to wake up and understand this country's problems cannot be covered with makeup. So no longer can we compromise our uprise by being satisfied with a pair of lies on how the system will be reformed or revised. We have to want full change from the inside out. And if we don't, then what exactly are we fighting about? So not only is it their responsibility, but our responsibility to help create some accountability. But until that day comes when that's an actual reality, when they stop bringing about problems and add more solution, or we get some retribution or either our full restitution, I cannot and will not have faith in the Constitution. And if I had the time, I could go on and on. But before I leave, I just need to know, am I wrong?
Preach. Woo!
All right, and we're back. Thank you all for joining us. We are into our final panel of the evening. I'm Jana Gamble, Vice President and PR for the Michael Brown Foundation, Chosen for Change. And I'm so pleased to join all of our invited guests this evening. I have a co-moderator for this portion, but I'm actually going to give her most of the reins. Dr. Naima Lett, my friend and family from the Hollywood Prayer Network. Met her through there. Dr. Naima Lett is a pastor, and she's a part of an actress and Hope in the Hollywood Hills, her church, Hope in the Hills. And she's going to be a co-moderator here with us, and she's going to give you introductions to our other guests as well.
Thank you so much, Jana. And thank you also to, of course, Michael Brown Sr. For organizing this and for pulling us all together in memory of your son. We're just all very grateful to be here. And this last panel is faith. And so we're coming to bless you, to encourage you, to give words of affirmation. We see our role in this as ministers to really speak to the fathers and to let you know that you are not alone. And as God's representatives to let you know that he is with you. And so we do want to go ahead and introduce our Power Pack panel here. We're pulling up the rear, brothers. We are pulling up the rear.
All right.
And we have with us Devon Franklin, my brother, out here in Los Angeles. Devon is, of course, the founder of Franklin Entertainment. He's an award-winning producer, as well as a best-selling author and preacher and speaker. Devon, can you just say hello to the people? Can't hear you, brother. Can you?
Right.
Uh-oh.
Cool.
Okay, Devon, she's gonna work on your microphone, and we're gonna keep introducing. But as soon as your mic is working, we're gonna ask you to jump in here, right? We also have with us Pastor Jamal Bryant. He is senior pastor of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Lithonia, which is right outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and he's also a best-selling author. The last time I saw Pastor Jamal, he was out here with his own TV show, people. He is the brother of one of my very good friends, Dr. Tamar Bryant Davis. Can you please greet the people, Pastor Jamal?
Does my mic work?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I didn't know if I need to be like Willie Moore and bring my own microphone, but I'm grateful. Let me salute Michael Brown Sr. It's good to see you, soldier. You've been holding fast since we first encountered 6 years ago, and I'm just grateful how you have stood on the wall, and I'm glad for this forum, and I've been listening to it all evening to hear the positive dimensions of Black fatherhood. Not all about what fathers are not doing, what they need to do, but seeing and hearing and bearing witness to the active and valuable places that Black fathers are. Because data is showing us Black fathers are now more engaged than any other ethnicity in the nation. And that's never on the news. And so I'm glad that the foundation is bringing that to light. Glad to be a part.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we also have with us Willie Moore Jr., who is an actor and singer, comedian, radio host, producer, and licensed minister. Can you please greet us, Willie Moore?
Listen, I'm just so thankful to be able to be here. Shout out to Big Mike. You know, I'm a St. Louis native. I grew up in Berkeley, Missouri, where the median income $17,000. I'm right next door to Ferguson. But I'm just blessed to be here to speak on behalf of, you know, young guys who just believe that faith is the key and the way that we navigate through this process of loss. And I'm just so glad to speak to my home city. I really do appreciate everything that the foundation is doing. I'm just blessed to be a part.
Thank you so much. We're going to circle back up to Devon. We see you pop back on, brother. There you go. We hear you. We hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Hey, you know what? Hey, with faith without works, where would we be? So glad to be here. Truly an honor and a pleasure to participate this afternoon.
Thank you. We want to introduce our chosen fathers. And we have again with us Michael Brown Sr. and we'll have you talk a little bit. I know this particular panel was created so that you can share a little bit of your faith as well. But we will also bring in Carrie Ball Sr. and ask you to tell a little bit of your story and your son's story, as well as Jimmy Hall. So Michael Brown, would you like to kind of jump us off, and then we're going to hear from Mr. Ball and then from Mr. Hall.
Well, first off, I want to just thank everybody that's on this stream and was able to participate, for this day. This day is very, 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 very emotional day. We've been going through a lot of ups and downs, for the last 6 years. To be honest, I did lose faith. July 30th, I lost faith again.
All right.
But I knew I was being selfish towards the people and myself for everything that we done put in to make sure Mike Brown Jr.'s name does not ever die. So I'm just thankful that I'm in better health now a little bit. Holding the world on my back, thinking to myself that I could save the world, which I know I can't save the world. That can definitely stress you out and give you more trauma. So getting the help that I need and trying to stay strong and stay focused and keeping the right folks around me that stay positive, especially Carrie. Carrie, I always tell you, I love you, bro. I love you, big man. You just have to have people like that around you in your circle. It definitely keeps the motive still pumping. It definitely gives you hope still, because at the end of the day, you're still giving families hope. When I tell people I got that tough skin, but I'm down in the inside, but I'm working on rebuilding my inside and being able to keep this journey going for the next 10, 20 to 30 years until my breath is gone, so we working.
Come on, bro.
Thank you so much. Carrie, I'm gonna ask. It's just the pastor's heart. I'm gonna ask the pastor to jump in and just speak to some of what Michael Brown just said. So, Pastor Jamal, will you just jump in for a second here and speak to some of what he said, and then we'll come to you, Carrie Ball.
I ain't even here. Pastor, you're gonna have to be my interpreter. I could hear nothing he said. You're gonna have to tell me he's in an unknown tone, so you got to tell me something.
Okay.
Did anyone else miss it?
What I was about to say, Devon, did you hear?
Everybody else heard it?
Yeah, I can hear him. Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Devon. Jamal, are you saying that you don't have any sound over there?
I can just hear you. I just can't hear my other panel.
Oh, okay. Oh. Okay, we're getting Jamal caught up on the sound. Sure. Devon, can you go ahead and speak to Michael Brown for us? And we're gonna get Jamal caught up.
Yeah. I mean, thank you, so much for. I think Reverend Al said it best in terms of your commitment and just staying with your hand on the plow of justice, not just for change for your family, but for all Black families across the country. And I really also just salute your honesty and transparency by admitting that you lost faith. I mean, let's just be honest. Sometimes we think that, we're all just, faith on 10, but life hits us. And to go what you have gone through, to admit that you've lost your faith and are reclaiming that, I pray and hope that anyone watching this right now is encouraged by those words, that we all, transparency leads to transformation. And I do just honor your transparency. We are in this fight with you. It's hard to mourn in the way that you've mourned because we haven't lost sons the way you've lost them. So we don't profess to give you any kind of hollow hope. But what we say is we honor you. And we are just grateful for your stand, your courage, and your voice. And we want to continue to be in solidarity with you.
Amen. Thank you, Devon. Thank you. Pastor Jamal, are you able to hear now? Give us a thumbs up if you're able to hear. Okay.
Your husband is okay. Only me and you have a connection.
Now we can't hear him.
Listen. Kevin is fine. All right. So we gonna keep going. All right. I'll translate. Carrie Ball Sr., we want to bring you in. Tell us your son's story, and then we're gonna bless you. Okay, we can barely hear you as well. Are you on mute? Hi. We heard you wonderfully, Carlos.
Yes.
You blew that up. Okay. Yes.
Definitely. Okay. Let's try to refresh.
All right, we're gonna refresh. We're gonna refresh on Mr. Ball, and we're gonna go ahead and bring you in, Pastor Jamal. So, just can you speak to this area of dealing with grief, and how do we continue to keep hope? How do we balance between grief and hope and keep our faith, even when it looks like the systems are not doing us right? How do we as a people? How do we as the families? Can you speak to that area? Because this is something that we are all living through, and we keep continually living through.
Yeah, I think the first thing that has to be known and understood is that grief does not have an expiration date.
Yeah.
Many people want you to rush to get over it, and don't even realize 2,000 years ago, we sing the song, "Were you there when they crucified my Lord?"
That's what you were scared of?
That sometimes it causes me to tremble. And so it's how it is that you process process that pain. Two brothers in Atlanta, where I presently live, have opened up a therapy center just for male activists who are going through PTSD, of going through the struggle of how do I navigate this space, of realizing that as a man, it does not emasculate you to say I hurt, to say that this has wounded me, this has impacted me. Reverend Sharpton, one of my mentors, was just in opening our segment and began in his salvo that at 64 years of age, he still laments not having a relationship with his father. He's on TV every night, has traveled the world, has spoken to thousands, but still that missing piece has an impact. And the other part of it is you can grieve over somebody who is alive.
It looks like
grief is not reserved for death. And so fathers have to deal with the grief of being disconnected from a child, or having a strained relationship with the child, or having, as we heard from the previous panel, the grief of being away because they were incarcerated and were not a part of pivotal sectors of life. And so how do I process that pain? The Bible says, be angry, but sin not.
That's right.
And grief really is a form of depression. It is controlled to one specific and particular area, and men have not been given the space until recently to go through self-care and mental health that is so needed. And a lot of our young men who are in the streets are angry. They're angry they can't get jobs, angry they don't have opportunities, angry that nobody seems to care, and that's a form of grief. They see themselves as amongst the living dead. That they put a benchmark, if I can just make it to 18, if I can just make it to 20, then they'll have some semblance of hope. It's important for us to understand that grief comes in different ways. Alcoholics Anonymous said the first step to recovery is admitting you got a problem. So to take ownership and acknowledgement of how it is that we feel, and then to begin that journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So good. So good.
Come on.
Yes.
Can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
The people that's not on this panel, can you please mute your phone? You're coming through on the conversation. Please mute your phone.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes. Are you ready to share?
Yes.
Come on then. Jump on in here.
All right, my name is Reverend Kerry Terrell Ball Sr. And before I get started, there's a thing that I did that I told Mike from day one. I say, big bro, I'm going to be by your side until the casket drops. But here's the thing that I said from day one after the murder of my son. I said that if our children, human rights, were not violated, then maybe we should have Peter to take over, because their animal rights were violated when they were shot down like dogs in the street. My son, Kerry Terrell Ball Jr., was shot on 8th and Carr on April the 24th,
2013, he was shot 21 times with 25 bullet wounds. So what that said is that one of the officers stood over him and 4 of the bullets went out his body and came back. So to me, I have not what I've said from 7 years ago. I said the lies, the reasons, and the excuses that they use to kill our children. Not only are they fossil, they are dinosaur rhetorics that they use. I fear for my life. He for guns. Those are the same tactics and cadence that they have been using for decades, and it's just old. It's just old.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Willie, you want to jump in here? You have a response. It feels like you were going in that direction. I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah. Number one, I just want to tell you, Carrie, man, you know, I honor and appreciate you, all that you're doing in the city. You know, the resilience that you have is just, nobody compares to the energy that you have. I always say when I think about you, as you continue to grow in stature, that you don't look like what you've been through. You know, the unique thing about the story is that through it all, you know, being a father of 4 children now, through it all, I still can't imagine that being my truth. And so what I love about you, bro, is that you're able to communicate effectively, number one, on what the issue was.
Yes, sir.
Now I want us to really start focusing on what our solution could be in that city. As we know, we got some systemic issues that are going on there. And you two brothers now have the esteemed opportunity to connect in pain, to create this amazing purpose for our city to become prosperous. The bigger issue that I see in our city, man, is that sometimes they'll just continue to force a narrative about what we're doing and what our young kids are doing. But I just wish at some point they could create a narrative so they can understand what a father goes through. So they can understand what a father's go through. As a faith guy, I would love to give you a whole bunch of scriptures that you already know. But I would rather, you know, like you already know, like you know what it is, Carrie, like, brother, right there on the, you know, you, bro. But I would just like to say, man, ultimately, keep going. We're with you. We push you. And to Carlos, he did amazing just to be able to create such an amazing narrative so we can see things differently. I would like to propose at some point that you all be able to be put on one of my shows. And I'm sure Devon has this amazing platform to get your voice heard. Of course, Jamal Bryant has an amazing platforms, but I just think we have to hear from the father a whole lot more, because ultimately the narrative that's being put into the mainstream media is that these guys have nobody that cares about them, that nobody's mourning, that nobody's hurting, that nobody still has an issue. And I just believe by faith, when people get an opportunity to hear your heart, they'll get an opportunity to be a part of the solution.
One thing they want to say, one thing, and the one thing that I really want to express is about this justice that we talk about. Here's the main problem. No matter how much reform we do, no matter how much defunding we do, no matter how much of the cliches that have been opposed and been presented to us, if we don't change the hearts of the people that we're trying to make a connection with, it does us no good. They got to be from the inside.
Right.
It's just,
yeah.
So,
Here, I ultimately agree. Okay. I ultimately agree. However, I do want you to know that the way hearts are changed is through a vision. And so what you have the ability to do is paint a picture so vivid that people really get into the vision of what it is. Like ultimately in St. Louis, you know, growing up there all my life, I've just noticed that sometimes the picture isn't painted the way that you've been able to paint it. And so people don't really live in policies, they live in vision. So when you look at Jamal Bryant, when he begins to paint a picture, it's something, number one, that you can see and you can grab a hold on to. And so what I would challenge all of us to do is to create these amazing narratives so people can understand the issues that we're going through. You know, my call being adoption, your call being, you know, making sure that systemic justice is taking place in our community. People like Devon Franklin being able to create these new narratives and bringing the new light and showing these narratives, because people ultimately live in the vision. Without the vision, people are going to perish. And I just know that's the way we shift hearts, through the narrative that you gave us today, bro.
Thank you so much. I'm going to speak to this area a little bit as well in terms of heart change. And it's just because my husband, Kevin, and I are right in the middle of a 40-50 project in which we have joined hands across the nation with faith leaders, pastors, visionaries, and all colors, shapes, and sizes. I do hear the feedback that's coming in. I'm not sure which microphone that's coming in, but I'm going to ask the tech person to help that, whomever that is on the tech side of things, please help us out there. And so ultimately, I want to encourage you that there are Black and white people coming together, leaders, all shapes and sizes, male and female, who are joining together to fast and pray and then act to begin to shift and heal our nation's racial divide. And so this is a God calling, and something that God said will only change through fasting and prayer. And so I want you to know that you are being supported, and that the faith community is finally coming alongside and finally, beginning to wake up. And it is truly is having to be an awakening of sorts, because on our side, as people of African descent, we know that change needs to happen, right? We understand that, and we've been saying that for years. It's very much what you said, Minister Ball, where it's really being able to reach across the aisle and bring everybody into the narrative to say, this only changes when we all start seeing through the same eyes and through the same lens. And that heart posture changes. That's a God thing, because sin is sin, and God has to be the one that begins to convict. But know that we're fasting and praying, and that's a first step. And then the action pours out of that. I am looking at the time, and I know we only have a few minutes left, but I do want to bring Devon back on for a second. In one of the former panels, one of the questions that was asked was about Hollywood and how things are being changed. And I actually know that you are a part of some change that's going on. You have been named as one of the governors at large with the Academy, and you guys are doing things. So can you tell everybody what's happening and how change is beginning to happen? Because I think it's one thing, we talk and I thank you so much, Willie, that you brought it up. It's time for some solutions that need to begin to come into play. And so, Devon, you're a part of solution. Can you tell the people what's going on?
Yeah, I'm a governor for the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, which is the board that oversees the Oscars. And so we are really trying to take on some serious measures, because to the point, the pastor made, which is a lot of times if you don't change the heart, then nothing will change from that. But part of the changing the heart is also changing the perception. And we as people of color, especially, Black men and Black women, how we are portrayed in Hollywood has got to change. And so, I've been co-chairing the task force that basically is going to change the Oscars for the future. What that means is that now, equity and inclusion will become a standard by which every picture that is submitted for Oscar consideration will be judged. That equity and inclusion will be in front of the camera, behind the camera. Also, programs that studios will need to have being focused on, people of color being given opportunities. So the goal is to really change not only the narrative, but also the opportunities, so that there are more voices that can come to Hollywood to be able to tell the right stories about our culture, and then also be rewarded and applauded for that retelling. It is long work. It's difficult work. I've been in Hollywood for 24 years. I can tell you this is not going to happen overnight, but I can tell you that people are more open to this change as possible. And so I'm just grateful to be a part of, a group that's leading the change. There's also another group that I'm a part of, where it's a bunch of Black professionals and actors and producers and executives, and we are all coming together as well, basically making demands of every studio in Hollywood, saying we have to change this. We have to change how we are portrayed. We have to start putting money back into the Black community, and we have to, as Hollywood, Hollywood is dependent upon Black people to survive. Let's just be honest. But it has historically been a place where Black people have not been able to have equal opportunity for advancement. So we are working on that. and we are also working on changing the narrative. It's not work that's going to magically happen overnight, but it is work that we have to do, and it's work that I'm committed to. And there are thousands of other people in this business that you may never know by name, but they share the same commitment.
Divine, can you pray for the fathers? And then we're going to ask Pastor Jamal, we're going to ask you to pray for the fathers as well. And then I'm looking at Jana. I think we will literally be, you guys will pray, and then we're kicking it over to Jana, if that's okay.
In respect of time as well, and just before we move to that aspect, I want Carrie and Michael to speak to the other fathers. Michael, this Chosen Fathers is our program for MikeBrown Foundation. Is a program really Michael leads. Chosen Fathers is a club that no one wants to join. This is a club we never want to initiate any other man to. This is a father's club that they are inducted into when they've lost a child, a son or daughter, whether it's to police brutality, community violence, or other traumatic circumstance. And so these gentlemen come together, and they come to a place where they can heal and love on one another and have a place of serene and just a place to understanding. Nowhere else they can be understood. And it's a place that is for them. And we just love that Michael has led this charge and has a platform that he shares with others. It's not about Mike Brown Jr., it's not about Mike Brown Sr. It's about everyone that's hurting and everyone that's suffering this trauma. So Carrie Ball Sr., Mike Brown Sr., could you speak to these other fathers that either are suffering this trauma or may? And can you just give them some words of encouragement before we pray for you?
First and foremost,
I'll just say this, go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
All right. First and foremost, I would like to tell all of the fathers who have lost a loved one that need some guidance. The first thing that I ask that you all would do is forgive yourselves for what has taken place with your child. I would like to say that if you're going to whoop yourself about what happened, like I heard everybody trying to blame themselves, why don't you take a feather and whoop yourself with a feather? That way it leaves no bruises, no scars, and you can remain where you are. But the main thing is reach out to someone when you're going through things. I tell Mike all the time, I'm here when you need me. One thing about me, I have buried 2 children, but every day I wake up, I've got joy because I got a new chance to change the narrative about our children. God bless you and God keep you.
I definitely want to say, our doors are wide open, for the fathers. We got a lot of fathers that then lost their loved one and went right back to work. This is the way they deal with their pain. No one's getting the right treatment that they should be having, because at any moment, at any second, an explosion can happen. So we definitely have to have the right tools and the right resources to talk and get a hold to our black men that's been traumatized by losing a loved one. That's why we came up with the Chosen Fathers, program, so we can help each other, we can bond together, we can laugh, we can love, we can try to come back to getting some type of normal, so if you are broken, if you have your heart broken before by losing a loved one, you can reach out to the Chosen Change Foundation. We will come with open arms. This is just not what some people would say, a Hollywood platform. I'm with the grassroots people that have lost their loved ones. I'm with the people that got national attention. It's like people say, I never was selfish. I went out and I brought people in. People that didn't have a voice or didn't give media attention, they're gonna stand on the side of me and people gonna know their story. So I am here. I'm always gonna be here. And this is my job. This is what God put in my lap. I ran from it. My mother told me when I was a kid I was supposed to be a preacher, teacher, and I ran from it and I wanted to go on the streets. Sadly, I had to lose my son And now I have to stand up on what my mission was in life. So our doors are open. You just reach out to us and let me try to help, because by I'm helping you, you're helping me. So let's help each other.
Indeed, we're proud of you, brother.
All love.
Thank you so much. Devon, can you pray? Then Pastor Jamal, can you pray? Then we'll close out, and Jana, you can take it from there.
Dear Heavenly Father, we pray right now, dear Lord, for just your grace, your mercy, your kindness. We just pray, dear Lord, for Pastor Kerry Ball Sr., and we pray for Mike Brown Sr., dear Lord. We're just so grateful for their hearts. We're so grateful, dear Lord, for their courage. We're so grateful, dear Lord, for their commitment. We just pray, dear Lord, that as they continue to do this work, that they would see the justice, dear Heavenly Father, that they seek, and that every father that has lost their son to needless violence, especially at the hands of police and law enforcement, dear God, we're praying that not only would they be healed, but they would see victory in this lifetime, dear Heavenly Father. This is our prayer. We are praying for victory in this lifetime, dear God. We want to see justice prevail. We want to see hearts change. We want to see those, dear Heavenly Father, that have committed these heinous acts, dear Lord, prosecuted to the furthest of the law. We want to get to a place in this country, dear Lord, where we no longer have to even have a chosen fathers organization, dear God. But until that day, I pray you would give them strength, you would give them resources, you would continue to pour into them all that they pour out, and that this event would just be a seed that grows and grows, and change will come from it. This is our prayer. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pastor Jamal?
Yes, en route to prayer, I wanted to just leave an asterisk to Michael Brown Sr. That history is going to record that Michael Brown Sr. and the father of Trayvon Martin reintroduced Black fatherhood to America. Because the narrative has always been that our children were fatherless. And in both of those instances that went to national stages, it was the father that was on the front line. Trayvon Martin, none of us in this Father's Forum should forget, was on his way to his father's house. None of us should forget that when Mike Brown was killed, his father was one of the first on the scene. And so they are debunking the notion that fathers have not been present. Even when they have been separate from the mother, they have always been connected to the child. And I just wanted to underscore that on the way to prayer. Thank you for you all's example, Big Mike. Good and gracious God, I ask that you will father fathers. I pray that you'll give us the vulnerability to be able to cry in your presence. I pray that you'll embrace us when we're alone, sometimes in a car and sometimes in a home. I pray that for fathers, you will wipe away invisible tears. I pray that for fathers, you'll plant joy where hope unborn has died. I pray for fathers, God, that you will dispatch from heaven, not child support, but father support. Let them know that they're not in it by themselves. It's the name of Jesus, who felt like a fatherless child while hanging on the cross, that I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Jana, did you want to take it from here? I mean, I can say thank you to everyone, or what would you like to do?
Actually, Jimmy Hill just joined us, and I just want to honor him because he lost 2 sons. Jimmy, if you could just briefly just share and speak with us. Can you say hello? Can we hear you? Oh, can we check your sound, Jimmy? I'll share until if we don't get him on. Jimmy Hill is from Georgia. He lost. There we go, Jimmy. Jimmy lost his son Curtis Jordan to gang violence. Then his son Jimmy Atchison to police brutality. So 2 sons. He's still standing strong, fighting for justice. I don't know how he's still standing, but again, he set his faith in God. So we just stand with Jimmy. I thank you again, Queen Yonajaha, for connecting him with us and the other chosen fathers. And we just thank you for allowing him to be a part of the panel. And we wish we could share his story but today is not the end all be all. We continue to stand with you, Jimmy, and all the other chosen fathers. We love you. We honor you today and your sons. Willie, would you like to pray?
You know what? Sure, I will. The brothers, they did so eloquently, but if I could just declare that the Lord's going to do something extremely unique because of the sacrifice that you brothers have done so far. I know that my wheels are turning. I can see Devon's, his wheels are turning, and just know that this is a seed towards the future. And I just believe that these stories are going to go global, and people will understand that fathers are going to be there no matter what for their children. So let us pray. Father God, you are so awesome. I do honor you. I appreciate you for this moment. You're a good God. And if my heart has been pricked, I know that everybody watching, their hearts have been pricked. And Father, we just pray that new narratives will be put into the earth. So senseless, just crazy violence like this won't happen so much. We just honor you for being a gracious God despite of all that we go through. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Y'all got me moving, brothers. I love y'all. We're going to figure this out. We're going to figure this out. Thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of it. My wheels are turning. This won't be the last this organization sees of me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate you all. And thank you all enough for being a part of this day. I do want to close out just because the time, our gratitude for all of your respective, everyone that's been a part of today. It's been such an absolute just honor for you to be present, everyone that's been involved, to take your time, talents, and treasures to be a part of this day on behalf of the Brown family. Our hearts were broken last week. Mike Sr., he suffered almost a heart attack and a stroke a couple weeks ago, just waiting for the decision of Wesley Bell, what he was going to say. And then they said, no, they're not going to reopen the case. And he said he thought he was going to die, but he didn't, thank God. And he didn't know if he was going to continue on or even continue this platform, this virtual town hall, or the memorial this weekend. So I'm just grateful that he had enough in his spirit to listen to what God's telling him to do and continue on and continue his mission for his family, for his son, and everything that his purpose is, to fulfill as part of Chosen for Change. So I just continue for this year, our purpose, justice for Mike Brown Jr. We can't have it on the court system, but justice for Mike Brown Jr. is supporting the legacy Mike Brown Sr. is building through this foundation. So thank you all for being a part of today. Continue to follow us on all social media, visit our website to donate, join our coalition, and to be the change. We love you. God bless you. And we'll see you soon. Have a great night. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jana.
What happened here? And never go to war.
my trust. I take refuge in you. You are my shield, my savior. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised, and he saves me from my enemies. Oh, I'm covered. I'm covered. My God, my rock, in whom I trust. I take refuge in you. You are my shield, my savior. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised, and he saves me from my enemies. Oh, no weapon forged against me shall when I'm in need, you're always when the storm of life is raging, and the enemy surrounds me. Will cover me when I'm in trouble, when I'm lonely. My God will cover me.
We are the chosen. We are the ones who make a brighter day. The ones who make a brighter day. We are the chosen. We are the chosen. We are the ones who make a brighter day. Ones who make a brighter day. We are the chosen. We are the chosen. We are the ones who make a brighter day. The ones who make a brighter day. We are the ones. We are the chosen. We are the ones who make a brighter day. The ones who make a brighter day.